Chapter 443. The Battle of False Cores, Chu Qingyi. Damn it! The robed false core immortal saw the cannons brewing on the spiritual vessel's deck, a twitch appearing at the corner of his eye, and an ominous premonition rising in his heart. He knew that once these cannon turrets locked onto him, a single strike would reduce him to ashes. Fire Dragon Pillar, suppress. At that moment, Qiyun True Immortal summoned a column as tall as a man and as thick as a barrel, adorned with a lifelike carving of a fire dragon. The carving of the fire dragon burst forth, transforming into a chain of fire dragons that roared towards the robed false core immortal, seeking to bind him and allow the cannons to turn him to dust. This little girl has been poisoned by my heavenly Een corpse poison. Now that the poison has reached her heart, I reckon she won't last much longer. The robed false core immortal glanced at the offensive before him and then at the spiritual vessel. His expression unwilling as he cleaved with his great axe, recalled the three zombies, and turned into a divine rainbow to make a quick retreat. Phew! Qiyun True Immortal watched the enemy retreat, releasing a sigh of relief. If the two of them continued to fight, with the opponent wielding 3 Foundation Establishment peak zombies, she truly would not stand a chance. As for the attack from the spiritual vessel's cannons, such an attack, once launched, would implicate her if she were to restrain the enemy. Therefore, if it weren't for lack of alternatives, she wouldn't want to employ such a tactic that injures the enemy at the cost of severe damage to herself. She transformed into a divine rainbow and swiftly returned to the deck. Elder! We've seen Qiyun True Immortal. Lu Chongsheng and the others immediately bowed in salute to the false core immortal. In the cultivation world, strength dictated seniority. Qiyun True Immortal nodded slightly and quickly checked on Chu Qingyi's condition. Qiyun Elder. At this time, Chu Qingyi also managed to open her eyes weakly and called out to Qiyun True Immortal. Qingyi, my niece, what happened? Who is this demon cultivator? Qiyun True Immortal demanded immediately. Xiaofan family. Chu Qingyi, surrounded by a gray aura of death, began to speak in a feeble voice. Before she could finish her sentence, she suddenly spat out a mouthful of black blood. The blood splattered on the deck with a strong corrosive effect, and she fell unconscious once more. Xiaofan family. Upon hearing this, Qiyun True Immortal's expression darkened. Seeing Chu Qingyi fall unconscious, she knew the situation was very dire. She immediately disappeared from the deck with Chu Qingyi. Xiaofan family? Could it be the Blackwater Xiaofan family? Hiss, I remember Blackwater Pool isn't far from here, within Xiaofan family's domain. Could it be that the demon cultivator just now was Ancestor Xiaofan? How could that be possible? The Xiaofan family is a major cultivation family with a history of hundreds of years in our Jiang country. How could they be related to the demonic sects? If the Xiaofan family truly is part of the demonic sects, that would be astonishing news. The crowd on the deck was taken aback upon hearing the name, Xiaofan family. Lu Chongsheng was also somewhat surprised. He naturally knew of the Blackwater Xiaofan family, a cultivation family with a seated false core immortal, considered a top-tier cultivation family within Jiang country cultivation realm and under Qingyun's sect's jurisdiction. But now, the Xiaofan family was suspected of being affiliated with the demonic sects. You see, Jiang country cultivation realm belongs to the righteous factions. As for the demonic path, if not eradicated completely, its existence is certainly not permitted in public view. Any demonic path cultivator or force that emerges in public would be dealt with by the major immortal sects. Now, a great cultivation family with a history of hundreds of years and a false core immortal at its core being associated with the demonic sects was indeed shocking. If that's the case, it would explain why they dared to pursue the true heirs of Qingyun's sect. Yes, Blackwater Pool, where the Xiaofan family resides, also falls under Qingyun's sect's jurisdiction. If this turns out to be confirmed as a demonic sect, it won't be long before Qingyun's sect dispatches nascent soul immortals and amasses an army to eradicate the Blackwater Xiaofan family. Everyone was alarmed by this revelation and engaged in a heated discussion. Fellow Taoists, please keep today's news confidential and do not disseminate it. At this moment, the spiritual vessel turned around and headed at full speed toward Qingyun's sect. A Qingyun sect disciple came to the deck and spoke to the crowd. Rest assured, fellow Taoist, the matters of today will certainly not be divulged by me, Su. Upon hearing this, someone immediately swore a heart demon oath as a vow of silence regarding the events. Seeing this, others followed suit, each swearing a heart demon oath, and Lu Chongxing did the same. After all, one had to give face to Qing Yun's sect. As the situation settled and the spiritual vessel resumed its voyage, Lu Chongxing returned from the deck to his cabin. Among us, is there a physician proficient in healing and detoxification? Not long after, a deep and aged voice reverberated throughout the spiritual vessel. It was the voice of Qiyun True Immortal. Hearing this, Lu Chongxing immediately guessed that Fairy Qing Yi required urgent medical treatment. From his brief observation earlier, he had noticed the dying aura enveloping Fairy Qing Yi, indicating not just severe injury, but also that she was afflicted with some poison. However, he hadn't expected the poison to be so severe that even Qiyun True Immortal, a false core immortal, was at a loss. She now sought a physician or a healer aboard the spiritual vessel. I wonder if there's a physician on this spiritual vessel. If not, I'm afraid by the time we rush back to Qing Yun's sect, Fairy Qing Yi will have succumbed to her fate. Lu Chongxing thought to himself. Although he had many methods at his disposal, he wasn't adept at healing or treatment and couldn't offer much help. Chapter 444. It seems that this Mr. Han is a true gentleman. _1 Blackwater Pool. Xiaofan family. A divine rainbow descended, revealing a middle-aged man clad in a black brocade robe. Ancestor. The Xiahou clansmen at the entrance bowed respectfully upon seeing their ancestor return. Xiahou Wuwa nodded indifferently and entered the family estate. Ancestor, we have just finished the investigation. This woman entered the back mountain of our clan through Xiahou Xian. At this moment, the Xiahou family head turned to address their ancestor. Xiahou Xian. For such a grave mistake, death cannot absolve him of his guilt. Cast him into the Blackwater Pool and refine him into a Yin corpse. Xiahou Wuwa paused mid-step, then spoke indifferently. Yes. The family head nodded in response. Xiahou Xian might be an elite member of the family, but for such a serious error, he naturally could not be forgiven. Moreover, the corpses of the Xiahou family's descendants were all refined into Yin corpses upon death, transforming into the foundation of the family. He looked towards Xiahou Wuwa, continuing to inquire, Ancestor, were you able to capture and kill that woman? That girl was rescued by someone from Qing Yun's sect, but she was afflicted with my heavenly Yin corpse poison, and the poison reached her heart immediately. She cannot live much longer. Xiahou Wuwa spoke in a serious tone as he took a seat in the family's grand hall. Rescued by Qing Yun's sect? Just as he finished speaking, a voice devoid of any warmth or emotional fluctuation sounded. And then, a bronze coffin burst forth from the depths of the Xiahou estate and landed in the middle of the grand hall. Within the coffin was a stiff-faced old man with no beard under his chin and ashen-gray skin with dark red eyes. Ancestor! Ancestor! Upon seeing the coffin's occupant, both Xiahou Wuwa and the family head respectfully bowed. Replying to the ancestor, I was just about to kill that girl when a Qing Yun sect spiritual vessel arrived and rescued her. However, she has already been struck in the heart by corpse poison and surely cannot live long. Xiahou Wuwa explained. This girl's appearance in our Xiahou family suggests that Qing Yun's sect has long suspected our family of dealing with the demon path. Now that she has encountered trouble within our Blackwater Pool territory, our Xiahou family cannot be separated from this affair, whether she dies or not. Xiahou Jie spoke in a chilling and uncanny voice. After speaking, he turned to the family head and commanded, Wu Su, now discreetly send some of the direct descendants out of Jiang country and into Yu country and Jin kingdom. Yes, ancestor. The family head immediately answered. Ancestor, is this really necessary? The sect master and the Five Poisons cult leader will soon challenge Li Duanshuan. As long as Li Duanshuan is defeated, once the Jin kingdom's army invades Jiang country, with our internal support and their external assault, our Xiahou family can achieve great things. At that time, the sect master might even bestow the subsequent cultivation techniques and the method to create elixirs, helping you advance even further, ancestor. Xiahou Wuwa spoke up. The subsequent cultivation techniques, another step further. Xiahou Jie's ashen and uncanny face gave a cold sneer that was frightful to behold. His descendants were not aware of the inner workings of the Heavenly Corpse sect. He had come out from the Heavenly Corpse sect, not knowing what was happening within his own sect. He spoke with a cold and authoritative voice. Li Duanshuan has dominated Jiang country for 500 years, and upon breaking through to nascent Soul True Lord, he slew a 4th-rank demon king. Now his strength is unfathomable. It would not be easy for the sect master of the Heavenly Corpse sect and the 5 Poisons cult leader to repel this killer star. Even if the Heavenly Corpse sect master and the 5 Poisons cult leader could drive Li Duanshuan back, an invasion by Jin Kingdom would take years, if not decades. If Qing Yun sect's army presses upon us before that, how can our Xiahou family hold out until that day arrives? Xiahou Jie's voice was chilling as he spoke. Ancestor, since it's like this, why don't we abandon Blackwater Pool outright? Xiahou Wuwa, with a grave expression, said to his ancestor. Abandon Blackwater Pool. Xiahou Jie's ashen face was as rigid as metal, with dark evil qi flowing from his nostrils and mouth, like tiny snakes. Once we abandon Blackwater Pool, where can our Xiahou family go? Once it is confirmed that we've colluded with the demon path, leaving Jiang country would be a wild and foolish dream. By that time, the Heavenly Corpse sect in Jin Kingdom would also view us as traitors, leaving no place for our Xiahou family. Furthermore, I have transformed myself into the Dark Demon Corpse, and now my life force and mana are connected to the veins of Blackwater Pool, making it impossible for me to leave this place. Xiahou Jie's voice was icy, with surging evil qi all around him. He saw Xiahou Wuo's troubled expression and said, with an unfluctuating voice, Don't worry, it won't be easy for Qing Yun's sect to destroy our Xiahou family here at Blackwater Pool. They would need to pay a heavy price. As long as we hold out until the Heavenly Corpse sect and the 5 Poisons cult drive back Li Duanshuan, the crises facing our Xiahou family will also be resolved. Now that Qing Yun's sect has discovered our relations with the Heavenly Corpse sect, there is no need to hide any longer. Convert the family's great formation into the 10,000 corpses mysterious Yin formation. Xiahou Jie continued. Yes, ancestor. Both of them nodded in response. Knowing that their ancestor was sending the direct bloodline out of Jiang country as a precaution. And now that things had come to this point, the Xiahou family had no other choice. On the 3rd floor of the spiritual vessel, in a luxurious guest room. True immortal, the poison within Fairy Qing Yi is extremely domineering. It has already invaded her heart meridians. I am powerless to help. A woman in green garments cautiously reported after examining Chu Qingjia's condition on the bed. You've worked hard. Qiyun True Immortal's face showed a trace of disappointment. She also knew that the poison in Chu Qingjia's body was extremely tough and difficult to handle. Otherwise, as a false core immortal, she wouldn't need to seek help on a spiritual vessel, asking others to save Chu Qingyi. This was a situation with no other solution. Looking at Chu Qingyi, lying there with chaotic and weak breaths. Chapter 445. It seems that this Mr. Han is a true gentleman. She continued to use her own mana to suppress the corpse poison, protecting the heart meridians, and nurturing the physical body. But she could clearly feel that the corpse poison was not only spreading throughout the entire body, Dantian and Qi Si, but also causing Chu Qingjia's vitality to weaken continuously. Fearing that in a few more hours, she would pass away. Even if the spiritual vessel traveled swiftly, there was no way to return to the Qing Yun sect in time for treatment. Fellow Taoists, if any of you have spirit pills or precious medicines that can drive out or resolve poison, or any treasures, you are all welcome to give it a try. Regardless of the effect, this true immortal will provide compensation, and if you can suppress or detoxify the poison in my disciple nephew's body and ensure a stable return to Qing Yun's sect, our sect will certainly be grateful and owe you a favor. Qiyun True Immortal took a deep breath and continued to address the people on the spiritual vessel. Chu Qingyi was not only an inheritor of Qing Yun's sect, but also a disciple of Kai Yun True Immortal. Now that she was in a life-threatening condition due to a mission from Qing Yun's sect, she naturally wouldn't give up easily. On the spiritual vessel, everyone was aware of Fairy Qing Yi's condition. Hearing Qiyun True Immortal's words, they couldn't help but feel tempted to try their own elixir medicines. After all, Qing Yun's sect had a fairly good reputation. If they could save Chu Qingyi and gain a favor from Qing Yun's sect, it would be advantageous for them in many endeavors in Jiang country in the future. It seems that the main problem for Fairy Qing Yi lies within the toxins in her body. I wonder if my 7 luminary sword qi can disperse this poison? Upon hearing Qiyun True Immortal's words, Lu Chongxing quietly mused. Qiyun True Immortal, driven by desperation, was willing to grasp at any strand of hope. This made him consider giving it a try as well. After all, His 7 luminary sword chi could not only refine elixir toxicity, but also disperse the resentful spirits from false core immortals. It might have some effect on these kinds of poisons. Maybe I should give it a try. After thinking it over, Lu Chongqing decided to make an attempt. Not to mention that saving Chu Qingyi would mean Qing Yun's sect owed him a favor. This fairy Qing Yi was also the senior sister of his child's mother, and he was willing to lend a hand. After all, he was just attempting to use the 7 luminary sword chi to drive out the poison. It wasn't like he was going to use the yin-yang nirvana technique, or the life transference technique, to save someone. By the way, if I were to use the yin-yang nirvana technique and life transference technique, wouldn't that make me a divine doctor? Lu Chongqing suddenly recalled how he once saved Lu Miaoge, who was on the brink of death and barely clinging to life, with these 2 secret techniques. He shook his head, stepped out of the guest room, and made his way to the deck. Fellow Su, the cultivation technique I practice has some effect on expelling poisons. I am willing to give it a try to help Fairy Qing Yi, Lu Chongqing said to a Qing Yun sect disciple. Good, fellow Han, please come with me. This Qing Yun sect disciple immediately invited Lu Chongqing to the 3rd floor. Then he went to a door and knocked. Enter, came an aged voice from inside. Elder, this is Han Li. He claims the cultivation technique he practices has some effect on driving out poison. The Qing Yun sect disciple spoke up. I am Han Li, and I have the honor of meeting Qiyun True Immortal. Lu Chongqing greeted Qiyun True Immortal with a cupped fist salute. Since that is the case, I shall trouble you, young friend Han. Qiyun True Immortal glanced at Lu Chongqing and nodded slightly. Although she didn't believe that Lu Chongqing could resolve Chu Qingji's situation, she was still willing to try anything in a desperate situation. Yes, I will do my utmost. Lu Chongqing nodded, approached the bed, and looked at Chu Qingyi. Fairy Qing Yi's wounds had already been treated at this point, but her beautiful countenance and fair skin showed a grayish-green hue, indicating that toxins had spread through her body, causing her to be weak and frail. True Immortal, I need physical contact to use my cultivation technique on Fairy Qing Yi to expel the poison. Lu Chongqing prepared to grasp Chu Qingji's wrist to start trying to use the 7 luminary sword chi to expel the poison, but he considered the rule that men and women should not touch each other casually. Moreover, for cultivators, physical contact allows one to use their divine sense to understand the full condition of the other person's body. Therefore, in the cultivation world, using mana or divine sense to touch someone else's body is considered taboo. It doesn't matter, Qiyun True Immortal said. In a critical situation, she didn't have so many concerns. All right, Lu Chongqing nodded, took hold of Chu Qingji's wrist, mana surged within him, and 7 luminary sword chi emerged through his body, slowly entering Chu Qingji's body through the palm of his hand. Such pure and sharp sword chi. Qiyun True Immortal observed the strands of 7 luminary sword chi, and her eyes suddenly saw Lu Chongqing in a new light. This is... Upon contact with the 7 luminary sword chi, the grayish-green hue on Chu Qingji's delicate arm started to sizzle like a hot frying pan, and the discoloration receded at a speed visible to the naked eye. Ing! Lying on the bed, Chu Qingji's forehead beaded with sweat, and she made a soft moan. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Watching this scene, Qiyun True Immortal immediately showed an expression of joy on her face. Her own false core mana could only suppress the corpse poison in Chu Qingji's body and slowly expel it. But now, Lu Changsheng's sword chi was able to quickly disperse the poison, which was astonishing. Is it really effective? Lu Chongqing observed this scene and raised an eyebrow. He had only hoped to try it out, but he hadn't expected the poison to be so easily dealt with, which increased his confidence in the effectiveness of the 7 luminary sword chi. However, this was just the beginning. He could clearly sense that the entire body of Chu Qingyi was permeated with corpse poison. The most critical was that the poison had entered her heart meridians and dantian. These areas were extremely delicate. If he were to use the 7 luminary sword chi to drive out the poison, it could be quite tricky, and any carelessness could injure Chu Qingyi. Chapter 446. It seems that this Mr. Han is a true gentleman. True Immortal Qiyun, although my mana can disperse the corpse poison, once the poison has entered the heart meridians and dantian, if I continue to expel the poison, I fear it might easily harm Fairy Qing Yi's heart meridians and dantian. After almost completely dispersing the poison in her forearm, Lu Chongqing wiped the sweat from his forehead and said, I can protect her heart meridians. Just go ahead and drive out the poison. Upon hearing this, True Immortal Qiyun immediately responded. Although she could not expel the poison, she could temporarily suppress it and protect the vital signs of Chu Qingyi. Yes. Lu Chongqing nodded at her words. He then prepared to raise his hand to Chu Qingji's chest to expel the poison there. But the next moment, his hand froze, and he looked towards true immortal Qiyun. It's all right. A healer has the heart of a parent. Han, my friend, you go ahead and expel the poison without worry. True immortal Qiyun, understanding the implication, said solemnly. Yes. Only then did Lu Chongqing place his hand on her chest and continue to expel the poison with the 7 luminary sword qi. Even though he was separated by her dress, Lu Chongqing could feel the woman's skin was soft and delicate like condensed milk, with a faint fragrance lingering. Yet he, a man who had been through hundreds of battles, read through 1,000 scrolls. Although Fairy Qingyi was captivating, she was not enough to stir any wild thoughts in him. Not bad. It seems this Han is indeed a gentleman. True immortal Qiyun watched Lu Chongqing seriously expelling poison from Chu Qingyi, nodding slightly to herself in admiration. She knew well the charm her niece possessed. Within the Qingyun sect, there were countless disciples who adored her and longed for her affection. Yet this Han, facing Chu Qingyi in such intimate healing, did not show the slightest bit of lewd expression. Threads of the 7 luminary sword qi penetrated through Lu Changsheng's palm, entering the area around Chu Qingji's heart meridians, dispersing the corpse poison. But this poison differed from the earlier one. Like a vile disease clung to the bone, spreading throughout the meridians, corroding them. Even the 7 luminary sword qi found it difficult to erase easily. Phew! After a while, Lu Chongqing withdrew his hand, exhaling deeply. With the profound origin bead, the consumption of his mana was naturally not that great. But as a false core immortal was present, he also did not want to show too much of his power, easily driving out the corpse poison. True immortal, my mana is also unable to completely eradicate this corpse poison. I can only remove the surface poison, Lu Chongqing said to true immortal Qiyun. He was not lying. This corpse poison most likely entered the body through several wounds, congregating here like a disease clung to the bone, and then spreading and proliferating, making it troublesome. Even he could not solve it in just a moment or two. It's already enough that you could do this. Thank you for your efforts, my friend Han. I have an elixir medicine here you can take to recover your mana, true immortal Qiyun nodded, offering an elixir with a gentle tone. She did not need to completely eliminate the corpse poison. As long as Chu Qingji's life force remained and she lived to return to the Qingyun sect, that would suffice. Within the Qingyun sect were third-rank healers, pharmacists, and spirit pills, naturally confident in reviving Chu Qingyi. Thank you, true immortal. Lu Chongqing nodded, recognizing the elixir medicine as a second-tier top-level energy-restoring elixir. He immediately consumed it and quickly began to recover his mana. After sitting in meditation for half an hour, he continued to expel poison from Chu Qingyi. Woof! At this time, Chu Qingyi moaned on the bed. Her pale and weak face blushed slightly as a mouthful of black blood spewed out. Am I still alive? Chu Qingji's long, dense eyelashes trembled lightly, and she slowly opened her beautiful eyes. She felt that after falling unconscious, she had plunged into an endless abyss of darkness. During that time, she could feel waves of force trying to pull her out of the abyss. But all to no avail. Her consciousness was gradually fading. Finally, it was the powerful and domineering sword qi moving within her body that cleaved through the darkness of the abyss and gradually woke her consciousness. Fairy Qingyi, you've awakened. True immortal Qiyun saw Chu Qingyi waking up and immediately showed a joyous expression. Phew! Seeing this, Lu Chongqing also withdrew his hand from her chest, sighing lightly. At that moment, Chu Qingyi became aware of the presence of a man with his hand on her chest. A touch of blush immediately appeared on her pale face. Fairy Qingyi, this Han has effective mana for expelling the poison, which is why he took such actions. True immortal Qiyun spoke out to explain. She was aware that her niece was pure and proud, typically keeping away from men. Now, she found herself intimately close to a man, which naturally could be discomforting. Thank you, Taoist Han. Chu Qingyi nodded slightly. She was not an unreasonable person. She knew that such intimate contact was part of her treatment. Had it not been for him, she might not have lived much longer. But before she could finish speaking, another mouthful of black blood burst forth. Taoist Han. True immortal Qiyun looked toward Lu Chongqing, signaling him to continue the poison expulsion. Fairy Qingyi, pardon me. Lu Chongqing lifted his palm and spoke to Chu Qingyi. Chu Qingyi, with a voice as soft as a mosquito's murmur, gave a soft murmur and closed her eyes, lying quietly on the bed. Her long, dense eyelashes fluttered like two small fans, constantly moving. Clearly, she was extremely tense. The next moment, she distinctly felt a warm hand land on her chest, causing her whole body to tense, her hands clenched into fists. Her feet arched tightly inside her white jade boots, and all 10 delicate toes were bunched together. Then, silken strands of sharp and domineering sword qi enter her body, dispersing the corpse poison around her heart meridians. Chapter 447. Seated Dao Debate, Supreme Sect Decree, Annihilate the Xiahou Clan. _1 Chu Qingyi's figure was exquisite, lying flat on the bed. Her pale face flushed slightly, her slender body tensed up, her narrow phoenix eyes tightly closed. Her thick, long eyelashes and tightly pursed lips trembled lightly and incessantly. She had been in a coma before, unconscious. She hadn't felt anything when Lu Chongqing expelled the poison from her using the 7 luminary sword qi. But now that she has woken up, she was fully conscious. She could clearly feel a warm large hand pressing against her chest, making her feel awkward and quite uncomfortable. But at the same time, the domineering sword qi that slowly poured into her body from this palm brought her an indescribable comfort. It was as if she was in the icy snow, with a gentle warm breeze brushing against her. She felt as though she was bathing in the warm sun. As the sword qi traveled through her body, dispelling the elixir toxicity, she felt like she was soaking in a hot spring, her whole body warm and cozy, extremely comfortable. Even her mana was being subtly drawn by this sword qi. What is happening? Chu Qingyi's phoenix eyes remained tightly shut, unsure of what was going on. The other sword qi, why did it have such a strange attraction towards her? Is it because of the sword? Chu Qingyi murmured to herself. Since she could remember, she had been with the Qingyun sect, adopted by Yun Wanshang. She had always been a loner, not talkative, and uninterested in most things. However, one day after seeing Yun Wanshang's sword, she became curious, feeling an inexplicable closeness. Yun Wanshang told her she had a sword heart. After cultivating, she became a sword cultivator. Indeed, it turned out she was exceptionally gifted in the sword Dao. With sword heart clarity, her heart devoted to the sword. She not only mastered one of Qingyun sect's cornerstone cultivation techniques, the Qingyun sword technique, but also soared ahead of others on the path of the sword. At this moment, she faintly sensed that this inexplicable attraction was coming from the sword qi of the man in front of her. This sword qi, just like when she had seen her master Yun Wanshang's sword, had a strange allure to her, making her feel a kinship. It made her want to discuss and exchange views on the sword Dao with him. Phew! At that moment, Lu Chongqing felt that he had almost finished expelling the poison from Chu Qingyi's heart veins and retracted his hand from her soft and smooth chest, exhaling a long breath. The moment his hand left, Chu Qingyi, who was quietly experiencing the mysteries of the sword qi, couldn't help but let out a soft moan. Her soft and weak body, after having most of the poison expelled, felt a wave of soreness and swelling. Her tensed feet within her jade boots slowly relaxed, and her cool voice carried a hint of coquettish charm. This moan immediately made Chu Qingyi's pale cheeks blush, her beautiful eyes cast down, somewhat embarrassed to look at Lu Chongqing. Lu Chongqing seemed not to notice her enticing moan. He said to Qiyun True Immortal with a serious face, "True Immortal, I have done my best to remove the poison from Fairy Qingyi's heart veins. As for the remaining poison, I lack the capability to completely eradicate it." He was telling the truth. To remove the deep-seated residual poison, he would have to use the 7 luminaries heart lamp. Only by continuously burning the poison with the heart lamp's flame could he gradually refine it. However, it was clear he didn't need to go to such lengths. And he didn't want to show off too much. "You have worked hard, young friend Han," Qiyun True Immortal said. "Please rest and recover now, then continue to treat my disciple niece Qingyi's Dantian poison. Afterwards, our Qingyun sect will definitely reward you handsomely, owing you a favor," she continued. Qiyun True Immortal had been monitoring Chu Qingyi's heart veins and vital signs throughout. She knew that Chu Qingyi's heart vein poison had been mostly resolved, enough to last until they reached Qingyun sect. However, The poison had invaded not only her heart veins but also her qi ocean core. If not treated promptly, it could damage her Tao foundation. Once the Tao foundation is compromised, even core formation could be affected, which would be very serious. As she spoke, she took out a bottle of elixir medicines and passed it to Lu Chongqing to help him recover his mana. Yes, after I recover my mana, Lu Chongqing replied as he accepted the elixirs and bowed slightly. Many thanks, friend Han. Chu Qingyi also calmed her emotions, her face a bit flushed, and quietly thanked Lu Chongqing. Fairy Qingyi need not be polite. As it happens, I am good friends with Fairy Shiyu, and it is thanks to Fairy Shiyu that I was able to board your sect's spiritual vessel, Lu Chongqing said with a smile. He had boarded the spiritual vessel using the ticket given to him by Xiaofan. The Qingyun sect had record of this information. If the Qingyun sect were to investigate his information, they would find out that he was acquainted with Xiaofan. Therefore, he openly disclosed his acquaintance with Xiaofan. It was also a way to show a degree of closeness to the Qingyun sect. Friend Han is actually a good friend of my junior sister, Chu Qingyi exclaimed with a bit of surprise when she heard this. Although she was often on missions away from the sect and didn't spend much time with her junior sister Xiaofan, she knew that her junior sister, due to cultivating the supreme forgetful love technique, was like the 9 heavens bright moon, undisturbed by emotions and external distractions. Aside from cultivating, she showed no interest in anything else, let alone socializing with others. Unexpectedly, this friend Han before her had become good friends with her own junior sister. But thinking of the 7 luminary sword qi that Lu Chongqing used to expel her poison, she felt somewhat relieved in her heart. She thought it was natural for someone like him to become friends with her junior sister. I didn't expect young friend Han to be good friends with Xiao, Qian True Immortal commented with slight astonishment. Then, a smile appeared on her face. With Lu Changsheng's mention, now that they had this connection, she regarded Lu Chongqing with added friendliness. I happened to encounter Shi Yu Fairy during her training, so I was fortunate to get to know her, Lu Chongqing added. Chapter 448. Seated Dao Debate, Supreme Sect Decree, Annihilate the Xiahou clan. Lu Chongqing said politely. Upon hearing this, the two did not ask any further questions. Anyone able to board this spiritual vessel generally had some relationship with the Qingyun sect. Either they were forces in cooperation with Qingyun sect, or they were forces under its jurisdiction, or they had relationships with disciples of Qingyun sect. Lu Chongqing swallowed the elixir medicines and sat in meditation to recover his mana. This spirit pill was a second-tier top-level elixir. In about half an hour, Lu Changsheng's mana had mostly recuperated. Qingyi Fairy, he said, turning his gaze to Chu Qingyi on the bed, who possessed a slender willowy waist and straight, long legs, her curves exquisite, with an air of heroic grace. Thank you for your trouble, Han. Chu Qingyi's eyelashes fluttered slightly as she said softly, then closed her beautiful eyes. Lu Chongqing extended his hand and placed it on her soft and flat lower abdomen. Doing so allowed the 7 luminary sword qi to better penetrate into her dantian, dispelling the poison inside. As soon as the 7 luminary sword qi surged into her dantian, Chu Qingyi's body tensed up and she couldn't help but let out a soft moan. If previously, the 7 luminary sword qi traveled through her body, dispelling the corpse poison in her vital channels and giving her the warm and comfortable feeling of soaking in a hot spring, this time, as the sword qi entered her dantian, it seemed to resonate mysteriously with her own mana and Tao foundation. Deep down, she felt an inexplicable closeness to Lu Chongqing, who was currently before her. Relax a bit. Lu Chongqing looked at Chu Qingyi before him, his expression also showing a hint of confusion. Chu Qingyi was clearly poisoned with corpse poison. Why was her complexion flushed and she kept letting out involuntary delicate moans? Could it be that the corpse poison also contained elements of some seductive poison? It's a good thing she met me, Lu. With anyone else, keeping a calm mind to expel the poison would be difficult, Lu Chongqing mused to himself. However, even with his vast experience, he had to admit that the Chu Qingyi before him was captivating. Her exquisite beauty and elegant figure surpassed countless other women. Even now, ashen and weak, devoid of color in her face, she still possessed a rare and refreshing heroic spirit among female cultivators. Moreover, this woman was a true disciple of Qingyun's sect, endowed with exceptional talent. If he could marry her and have children, the children would certainly inherit excellent talents. Lu Changsheng's hand rested on the fairy's smooth and flat lower abdomen, as strands of 7 luminary sword chi slowly flowed into Chu Qingjia's chi ocean core, dispelling the corpse poison. At this moment, he discovered that when his 7 luminary sword chi entered deep into Chu Qingjia's chi ocean core, it resonated somewhat with her mana and Dao foundation. This sensation was very peculiar. He had never encountered it before. Is it because this Qing Yi fairy is also a sword cultivator? Lu Chongqing wondered in surprise. Such a situation was exceedingly rare. Usually, such resonance occurred when the cultivation techniques practiced by individuals had some similar characteristics. However, this resonance merely allowed his 7 luminary sword chi to expel toxins from Chu Qingjia's dantian more smoothly, like a fish taking to water. It had no other effects. If anything, the two could perhaps sit down, discuss sword techniques, and exchange their cultivation experiences and insights, which might lead to some inspiration and assistance. But Lu Changsheng's 7 luminaries' great freedom sword scripture, inherited through the system, was already very familiar to him, naturally leaving nothing to discuss. It seems young friend Han's cultivation technique is no ordinary technique, to be able to resonate with our Qingyun sect's Qingyun sword technique, showing a degree of commonality. Qiyun True Immortal, who had been using mana to maintain Chu Qingjia's vitality, also faintly sensed the unusual resonance and couldn't help being surprised. Their Qingyun sect protecting green sword art was a peripheral sect-level technique. If Lu Changsheng's cultivation technique could resonate with their sword scripture, it indicated his technique was anything but common. At the very least, it was a peripheral sect-level technique. For a loose cultivator to cultivate such a heritage technique suggested he was not simple and had possessed extraordinary fate to obtain such an opportunity and inheritance. Indeed, if he were an ordinary loose cultivator, he wouldn't have been able to associate and become acquainted with a heavenly genius like my junior martial niece Shiyu. Qiyun True Immortal cast a glance at Lu Chongqing. All right then, after quite some time, having dispelled most of the corpse poison in Chu Qingjia's chi ocean core, Lu Chongqing withdrew his hand and said with a cupped fist salute. Thank you, Han. Chu Qingyi forcibly endured the tension in her delicate body, managing not to emit another embarrassing moan. Possibly due to the sustained suppression of her voice, usually clear and cold, now carried a slightly husky and magnetic quality. Fairy Qingyi is too polite, Lu Chongqing replied with a slight bow, thinking to himself that her attempts to suppress herself revealed a rather charming demeanor. Young friend Han, you've taken a lot of trouble this time. Here is a high-rank second-grade breakthrough elixir, which should be helpful for someone in the Foundation Establishment middle stage aiming for the Foundation Establishment late stage. Please accept it. For this deed, our Qingyun sect also owes you a favor. If there is anything in the future, young friend can carry this token and come to our Qingyun sect. At this moment, Qiyun True Immortal took out a porcelain bottle and a token, speaking forth. On one hand, this was to thank Lu Chongqing for saving Chu Qingyi. On the other hand, it was also their Qingyun sect's willingness to be acquainted with a talented loose cultivator like Lu Chongqing. Such a generous gift, I truly feel undeserving. Lu Chongqing appreciated the elixir, thinking that as expected, a big sect like theirs was very generous. A high-grade first-rank breakthrough elixir for advancing from the energy refinement middle stage to the energy refinement late stage cost 1,200 spirit stones. But a high-rank second-grade breakthrough elixir, valuable for pushing from the Foundation Establishment middle stage to the Foundation Establishment late stage, was worth more than 10 times as much. Valued at over 20,000 spirit stones. And moreover, such elixir medicines were extremely scarce. Classified as priceless commodities, often there was no way to acquire them, even with money and without the right channels. Presumably, Qiyun True Immortal noticed that he was at the Foundation Establishment middle stage, which is why she offered such a valuable elixir as compensation. Chapter 449. Seated Dao Debate, Supreme Sect Decree, Annihilate the Xiahou clan. As long as Han is not displeased, Qiyun True Immortal said with a smile. Under the circumstances of owing a favor to someone in the Qingyun sect, a generous gift in return is actually quite meaningful. But Lu Chongqing and Xiaofan are good friends, and considering the recent poison removal process, her impression of Lu Chongqing was quite favorable, and she felt a degree of fondness towards him. Therefore, she was also willing to be more generous and reciprocate the good deed. Many thanks, True Immortal. Since that's the case, Han will take his leave and rest, Lu Chongqing said aloud. Since Chu Qingjia's corpse poison had been largely eliminated, it was not appropriate for him to linger any longer. And also, the poison removal process had been quite draining on the mental spirit. One had to be fully focused to prevent the sword qi from injuring Chu Qingyi. "You've worked hard, young friend," Qian True Immortal nodded. He then turned to a Qing Yun Sect Foundation establishment disciple outside and said, "Xian Feng, arrange a luxurious guest room for Han." "Yes, Elder," the disciple called Xian Feng from the Qing Yun sect immediately responded upon hearing this. Seeing Lu Chongqing in the room for so long, he knew that Lu Chongqing must have had some effect on Chu Qingyi's poison. He was a few degrees more courteous towards Lu Chongqing, gesturing with an inviting hand. "Han Daoist friend, please." Then, he led Lu Chongqing to a luxurious guest room. This luxurious guest room was only about 30 square meters. But compared to ordinary guest rooms, this room was abundant in spiritual energy. It seemed that the spiritual energy that maintained the operation of the spiritual vessel was also channeled into this room on the 3rd floor, allowing one to meditate and cultivate. Unlike in ordinary guest rooms, where the spiritual energy was sparse. If you wanted to meditate and cultivate, to recover mana, you could only rely on elixir medicines, spirit stones, spiritual wine, spiritual tea, and other means. I wonder how significant this so-called favor is, and whether it's possible to get a qualification to purchase a spirit land from the Qing Yun sect? Lu Chongqing didn't pay much attention to the surroundings, taking out the jade token that Qiyun True Immortal had given him from his storage bag. Regarding the favor owed to the Qing Yun sect, the first thing that came to mind was to acquire the qualification to purchase spirit land through the Qing Yun sect. In other aspects, he didn't really need to trouble the Qing Yun sect for the time being. Later, I'll ask Shi Yu about the weight of this favor, thought Lu Chongqing, holding the jade token and pondering. He planned to ask Xiao Xie what the jade token represented and how the Qing Yun sect might reciprocate. In that way, he could maximize the benefits of the favor. Speaking of which, I hope this spiritual vessel won't need to return to the Qing Yun sect first before heading to Jiuxiao Immortal City. Lu Chongqing put away the jade token and looked out at the sea of clouds outside the window. If they return to the Qing Yun sect and then head to Jiuxiao Immortal City, it might cause a delay of a month or two. However, 5 days later, the spiritual vessel slowly came to a halt. Lu Chongqing saw a man and a woman come aboard the spiritual vessel. Are these people from the Qing Yun sect? Lu Chongqing guessed. The cultivation levels of these two people, one was at the middle stage of foundation establishment, while the other was beyond his perception. Either they had some treasure to conceal their mana, or their strength surpassed foundation establishment. After a long while, he heard a knock at the door. The door opened, and Chu Qingyi was standing outside. Han Daoist friend, Chu Qingyi greeted Lu Chongqing with a bow. Although she still appeared weak and disordered in her breathing, her complexion was much improved compared to before. She was dressed in an elegant palace gown and white skirt, her long black hair casually tied into a high ponytail, carrying a sky-blue spirit sword on her back. Her phoenix eyes were narrow and determined, and her whole being was like an unsheathed sharp sword. Qingyi Fairy, Lu Chongqing looked at Chu Qingyi before him. He thought to himself that her temperament was somewhat similar to Xiao Xie's usual demeanor, cold and aloof, making her difficult to approach. However, Xiao Xie's temperament lacked this edge and sharpness, and was more noble and pure. Yet this kind of female sword immortal demeanor also gave a stunning beauty to her presence. Han Daoist friend, I will remember your life-saving grace in my heart. If there is anything you need in the future, you may come to the Qing Yun sect, Chu Qingyi said to Lu Chongqing. Fairy Qingyi is being too polite. If there is an opportunity, Han will certainly visit the Qing Yun sect and discuss swordsmanship with Fairy Qingyi, Lu Chongqing responded with a smile and a bow. He was also willing to foster relations with such a sect prodigy. After all, every interpersonal relationship could be helpful for the future development of his family. As for other thoughts, to say there were none would naturally be impossible. Such a talented female sword immortal would indeed make a great mother of one's child. But having the relationship with Xiao Xie, he did not feel it was appropriate to make a move on her senior sister. After all, she had a core formation master. If her master found out what he was considering, he really feared a single sword strike would end him. All right, Chu Qingyi hearing this, showed a hint of joy in her eyes. She wasn't interested in most things. She was only interested in the sword. Previously, when Lu Chongqing helped her with the poison, she resonated with the 7 luminary sword qi, and felt an inexplicable affinity. She wanted to discuss sword Dao with Lu Chongqing. But on one hand, her injuries were severe, and she was not in a condition to move around. On the other hand, she didn't know how to initiate the conversation. After all, she wanted to exchange cultivation experiences and insights into the sword Dao, but others might not be willing. Now that Lu Chongqing had taken the initiative, she was naturally very pleased. After a brief farewell, Chu Qingyi joined the two people who had just arrived and boarded a small spirit boat, turning into a beam of light, and quickly flew away. Next, the spiritual vessel will officially set sail back. Due to an affair in our sect delaying everyone's journey, upon arrival at Jiuxiao Immortal City, we will refund 30% of the ticket spirit stones as compensation, and we ask for everyone's understanding. Qiyun True Immortal's voice rang out on the spiritual vessel. This served as a simple explanation for all the passengers. As for this form of compensation, naturally, no one had any complaints. Because even if Qiyun True Immortal and Qingyun's sect offered no compensation or explanation, there would be no choice but to hold one's peace. Chapter 450. Seated Dao Debate, Supreme Sect Decree, Annihilate the Xiahou Clan. At last, we are setting sail. Upon hearing this voice, Lu Chongqing exhaled deeply as he watched the spiritual vessel head back toward Jiuxiao Immortal City. He had thought there would be a delay of a month or two. But at this pace, it was only a delay of 10 days to half a month. He considered that manageable. Straight away, he took out his brush and paper and continued his work on crafting talismans. Half a month later, a spirit boat entered Qingyun's sect. Upon Kaiyun Peak, Yun Wanshang saw the spirit boat and immediately transformed into a rainbow streak, shooting out toward it. She had been in seclusion when she learned of her disciple's situation and had come out to wait for Chu Qingji's return. I pay my respects to Kaiyun True Immortal. I pay my respects to Kaiyun True Immortal. The two individuals on the spirit boat quickly bowed their hands in salute upon seeing Yun Wanshang. You have both worked hard. Yun Wanshang nodded. Since the Qingyun sect was too far from where the giant spiritual vessel was located, she had sent the two to go in her stead. She then turned with concern to Chu Qingyi, who looked pale and disordered. Qingyi, how are you faring? Master, I am unharmed, Chu Qingyi said, bowing her hands to her master. As she spoke, she reported, Master, I have fulfilled my duty without disgrace. Based on my investigation of the Xiahou family's ancestral land, the Xiahou family is likely an undercover agent for the Tian Corp sect of Jin Kingdom. There is also a hidden Yin vein below Blackwater Pool, through which the Xiahou family has been nurturing and refining corpses. Furthermore, based on my speculation, there are likely more than one false core immortal in the Xiahou family, Chu Qingyi said, sharing the information she had gathered. Undercover agents of the Heavenly Corpse sect. As I had expected. But I never imagined that the Xiahou family had concealed themselves so deeply, Yun Wanshang said, her beautiful eyes flashing coldly. To think there was a Yin vein beneath Blackwater Pool. No wonder Blackwater Pool, even though originally a low-grade second-rank spirit vein with harsh conditions, was valued by the Xiahou family, who chose to establish roots there and invested heavily in nurturing it. A false core immortal nearby commented upon hearing this. Qingyi, let's go. We will report this matter to the sect leader, Yun Wanshang said, her presence overwhelming as she and Chu Qingyi headed toward Qingyun Grand Hall. She had Chu Qingyi report the affairs of the Xiahou family truthfully to the Qingyun sect leader. The Xiahou family, Heavenly Corpse sect, the sect leader mused aloud. It seems the Xiahou family is indeed one of Heavenly Corpse sect's moles. The Yu family of Bai Lake Mountain, the Wugong Ridge Zheng family, the Hundred Birds Lake Bai family, the Ning family of the Stream Mountain, the Zhao family of White Tiger Mountain, and other family powers under Qingyun sect's jurisdiction, all received the order. After all, to destroy the Xiahou family was not a matter of sending a single nascent soul immortal to deal with it, and annihilate the entire Xiahou clan. Even a nascent soul immortal could leave something unchecked. Furthermore, to eradicate the Xiahou clan included also dealing with subordinate families, markets under their control, and external disciples, among other things. If all these tasks were to be handled by Qingyun sect alone, it would require a significant temporary reshuffling of forces and disciples which might lead to losses. That's why these family powers within the region had their uses at such times. Chapter 451. Arriving at Jiuxiao Immortal City. Meeting Meng Xiaochan again under the Qingzhou Grand Hall. The War Council Chamber. Lu Yuanzhong, the Lu family ancestor, was discussing with all the Lu family senior members and elders about the Qingyun sect's campaign against the Xiahou clan. Now that the Supreme Sect had issued an order, their Qingzhu's Lu family must send people to obey the summons and participate in this war. For these family powers, the war, though dangerous, was also an opportunity. As long as they made military contributions, the Qingyun sect would also reward them according to their achievements afterward. Spirit stones, magic artifacts, elixir medicines, secret cultivation techniques and other rare resources that usually couldn't be purchased could all be obtained in exchange for military contributions. Since that is the case, let's settle on this. In 3 days, Uncle Yunhan, Uncle Yunfei, Yuan Shan, Yuan Hua, Yuan Ling, Miaofeng, will accompany me to participate in this battle. Lu Yuanzhong announced decisively. Then, turning to Lu Yuanding and Lu Miaochang, he said, Yuanding, Miaochang, you both take care of the family. Although it is said that during the war, all family powers must not engage in conflicts, there's no guarantee that robber cultivators won't take the opportunity to cause trouble. So during this time, you must all be on alert, increase the patrol frequency of the family, and if necessary, use thunderous methods to suppress any disturbances. Lu Yuanzhong commanded in a deep voice. Yes, as you command. Please rest assured, ancestor. In the hall, numerous figures rose to their feet and respectfully responded to Lu Yuanzhong. Miaoga, do you know where Chongqing has gone, and if he can return to oversee the family? After the discussion had ended, Lu Yuanzhong looked towards Lu Miaoga and sent a telepathic inquiry. As the family ancestor, he now had to lead a part of the elders, senior members, and elite forces away from home. This would surely lead to a considerable weakening of the Lu family's internal strength. If Lu Chongqing, the second-grade talisman master, were there to oversee things, it would add an extra layer of security. Moreover, having achieved the foundation establishment and being an ancestor, he was naturally not foolish. Through Lu Changsheng's various actions, his children, and his spiritual pets, he had long since realized that Lu Chongqing was not as simple as he appeared on the surface. He hid many secrets, and it was very possible that his cultivation level was much higher than just the 7th level of energy refinement. Thus, having Lu Chongqing in Qingzhou Mountain to oversee things would make the family much more secure. Ancestor, Chongqing has gone out on a matter with a friend and estimates that it will take at least a year before he can return, Lu Miao replied, pursing her lips lightly. She had not expected that just 3 months after Lu Chongqing had left, such a situation would arise. However, Lu Chongqing had not told her where he was going on this trip. All right. Lu Yuanzhong sighed slightly upon hearing this. He knew that Lu Chongqing wouldn't be able to come back soon to oversee the family. He then said to Lu Miaoga, Miaoga, for the time being, the affairs of the Red Leaf Valley Market will be your responsibility. Yes, ancestor. Lu Miaoga nodded earnestly. With the second elder, Lu Yuanling, also accompanying Lu Yuanzhong on the trip, the responsibility for the Red Leaf Valley Market had fallen upon her. After pondering for a moment, Lu Miaoga telepathically conveyed, Ancestor, Chongqing has a foundation establishment friend from the Qingyun sect. Before he left, he said if we run into any trouble, I should seek out his friend. So please rest assured, ancestor. Not long ago, Xiaofan had come to the Red Leaf Valley Market to see her daughter, Lu Wangshu. She had also made the acquaintance of this Shiyu fairy. So to reassure her own ancestor and considering that if the family really faced a great crisis or trouble, she thought of seeking help from this Shiyu fairy. In the bottom layers of the cultivation world, having a relationship with a foundation establishment friend from the immortal sex was considered a very dependable background to rely on. It could act as a deterrent and solve many problems. A foundation establishment friend from the Qingyun sect? Very good, very good. Upon hearing this, Lu Yuanzhong's eyes immediately showed a hint of pleasant surprise. He had not expected that Lu Chongqing would have such a connection. Knowing that even just a visiting foundation establishment cultivator from the immortal sex could have a certain deterrent effect when visiting Qingzhou Mountain. However, thinking back to the previous battle with the Chen family, when the Chen family's betraying foundation establishment female cultivator was present, Lu Yuanzhong suddenly became curious to ask whether Lu Changsheng's friend from the immortal sex was also a female cultivator. Still, as the family ancestor, he restrained his curiosity and didn't delve into such gossip. 2 months later. We've finally arrived. Lu Chongqing stood on the deck of the spiritual vessel, overlooking the sea of clouds. He could faintly make out a towering immortal city shrouded in multicolored light below. As the spiritual vessel slowed down, the grandeur of Jiuxiao Immortal City grew larger in Lu Changsheng's view, so magnificent that the surrounding mountains seemed like mere hills to set it off. Jiuxiao Immortal City. So this is what an immortal city looks like. No wonder, in the vast Jiang country cultivation realm, with many marketplaces, there are only 3 immortal cities. Lu Changxing marveled inwardly at the ever-clearer and extremely majestic Jiuxiao Immortal City. This immortal city occupied hundreds of miles, several times larger than the Qingyun market. The surrounding towering mountains seemed to be cleaved by a sword to create spacious and flat roads. On the roads, one could see many beasts of burden and cultivators coming and going as if they were merchant convoys from the secular world. But in the skies above, many cultivators were constantly moving about. Magic artifacts, flying boats, spiritual artifacts, escape lights, all dazzling, indicating that this was not any secular world, but a world of immortals. Foundation establishment great cultivators, rarely seen on a daily basis, were quite common here. From time to time, escape lights from Foundation establishment cultivators could be seen. Half an hour later, the massive spiritual vessel slowly hovered in front of the gate of Jiuxiao Immortal City. Fellow Taoists, we have arrived at Jiuxiao Immortal City, said Qiyun True Immortal as his voice echoed on the spiritual vessel. All the passengers came to the deck, ready to disembark from the spiritual vessel. Han Taoist friend, this is the 30% refund of the boat ticket due to the travel delay. Chapter 452. Arriving at Jiuxiao Immortal City, meeting Meng Xiaochun again at that moment. A Qingyun sect disciple named Xianfeng took out 3 middle-grade spirit stones and handed them to Lu Changxing. 30% of the ticket price. Lu Changxing remembered what Qiyun True Immortal had said earlier, that due to deviation from the course, delaying the journey, 30% of the ticket price would be refunded as compensation. That meant his ride on the spiritual vessel cost him 1,000 spirit stones. However, when Xiaofan had given him the ticket earlier, she did not mention anything about spirit stones. This indicated that Xiaofan had paid for the spirit stones herself. It made sense too. Even though Xiaofan was a core disciple of the Qingyun sect, it wasn't possible to ride the spiritual vessel without paying. Thank you, Taoist Xianfeng. Lu Changxing accepted the spirit stones. He couldn't help thinking to himself how expensive the ticket actually was. Even a regular cabin ticket cost 1,000 spirit stones. Not to mention a luxury cabin ticket, which must be 3,000 to 4,000 spirit stones. But he also understood that this price was probably just to cover the travel expenses. A vessel like this, traveling from Qingyun Market to Jiuxiao Immortal City, consumed a significant amount of spirit stones. Moreover, through conversations over these days, Lu Changxing also learned that this spiritual vessel mainly ferried between the Jiuxiao Immortal City for Qingyun sect and Heavenly Sword sect's business or strategic exchanges. Carrying other passengers was just incidental. Taoist Han is too polite. Due to the matter with Chu Qingyi, Xianfeng was very courteous to Lu Changxing. After giving a polite bow, he went to return the spirit stones to the other passengers. Taoist Han, if in the future you wish to return to Qingyun Market, you are welcome to board the spiritual vessel again. At this time, Qiyun True Immortal also came up on deck and, looking towards Lu Changxing with a smile, said, "Thank you, True Immortal." Lu Changxing returned the greeting with a bow. Afterward, he flew down from the spiritual vessel and arrived at the entrance of Jiuxiao Immortal City. As soon as he descended, without the formation's spiritual light from the vessel enveloping him, he felt an intense oppressive force in the air. It was the third-rank great formation of Jiuxiao Immortal City. The rumors say that a third-rank formation, having fully connected with the spirit veins and becoming one with them, possesses the capability to create its own domain. Attempting to disturb such a great formation with a single attack or using talismans for breaking prohibitions is hardly effective. Lu Changxing looked at the city walls covered in various rune imprints and glowing with formation light, contemplating inwardly. Because of his family's formation, he had spent a considerable amount of time learning about formations. He knew that once a formation reached the third rank, it underwent a qualitative transformation. It could fully connect with the spirit veins and create its own domain. This not only allowed the locking of spirit veins easily, but also the distribution of spiritual energy concentration among different areas. It also meant that the Great Formation had no weak points. Any assault or prohibition-breaking measures would have their power drastically reduced. All attacks would be distributed through this domain by the Great Formation. To such a domain, even the attacks of nascent soul immortals were limited. If a third-rank formation master presided over the Great Formation, maximizing its might, the power would be truly astonishing. Lu Chongqing did not linger. Following the crowd, he entered a side hall at the city gate, registered his information, paid spirit stones, and got his identity token. This immortal city charges only 10 spirit stones annually, which isn't expensive at all. After handling his identity token, Lu Chongqing took the token and entered the immortal city. As soon as he entered the city, he felt a sudden weight on him, a mysterious pressure descending upon him. Is this a flying prohibition? Lu Changsheng's eyebrows knitted slightly. He immediately knew it was the effect of the celestial city formation, preventing Foundation establishment cultivators from flying within the city. In places like Red Leaf Valley Market or Nine Dragons Market, although using artifacts to fly and riding spiritual beasts were prohibited, once one became a Foundation establishment cultivator, they could fly within the marketplace. But Jiuxiao Immortal City's Great Formation directly imposed a flying prohibition, preventing even Foundation establishment cultivators from easily flying within the city. It makes sense, for a city like this with numerous Foundation establishment cultivators, allowing unrestrained flying would greatly affect the order. And with the flying prohibition, if someone caused trouble in the city, facing the enforcement team, escaping would be difficult. Lu Chongqing murmured to himself, growing even more appreciative of the might of the third-rank Great Formation. Without delay, he began to stroll through Jiuxiao Immortal City. Jiuxiao Immortal City was divided into 3 major areas: the Outer City District, Inner City District, and Jiuxiao Mountain. True large shops and businesses were all located in the Inner City District. However, the city's outer district was far more bustling than many marketplaces. Here, Lu Chongqing also spotted several familiar signs. It seemed that these family powers had extended their shops and businesses into Jiuxiao Immortal City. After a brief look around, he headed towards the Inner City District. To make purchases, one must go to the Inner City District. Meanwhile, at the same time, just as Lu Chongqing arrived in Jiuxiao Immortal City, at the base of Jiuxiao Mountain, within a cave abode, a girl dressed in snow-white robes, with delicate features and an ethereal aura, opened her eyes. What's happening? Why do I feel an inexplicable impulsion? An unaccountable palpitation? The girl frowned her beautiful brows and muttered to herself. When cultivators experience a sudden impulse or palpitation, it often signifies that something is about to happen. Xiaofan. Just then, a beautiful woman walked into the room. The woman was dressed in a well-tailored, tight-fitting black gauze long dress. The dress hugged her curvaceous and enchanting figure, with her shoulders exposed, smooth and fair. It made men naturally want to embrace her shoulders in their arms. Her slender waist accentuated prominent curves that led to a full and ample bosom. Long, straight and fair legs peeked out slightly under the hem, standing in a pair of slender heel stiletto black shoes with a faintly pink sole. Chapter 453. Arriving at Jiuxiao Immortal City. Meeting Meng Xiaochan again, she exuded seduction with every fiber of her being, with every gesture and step. Master! Meng Xiaochan looked at the beautiful woman before her and immediately called out. You little girl, I told you to call me mother now. Nan Gongmili looked at the girl before her, her lips curving into a charming smile, and pinched her fair and tender face. As if that wasn't enough, her soft, rosy lips kissed Meng Xiaocan's fair and delicate cheek. Mother! Meng Xiaochan smiled sweetly and called out affectionately. On this trip outside with her master, the two had disguised themselves as mother and daughter. Good girl, come here, open your mouth. The beautiful woman sat down beside the bed, her ample buttocks pressed into a bountiful pastry. She pinched a red spirit fruit between her fingers and fed it to Meng Xiaochan. With a gentle smile, she radiated an alluring charm, yet amidst this enticing aura, she did not lose her mature and elegant demeanor. Meng Xiaochan couldn't help but sigh to herself. Her own master was truly a seductress. The allure was irresistible to both men and women alike, difficult for anyone to withstand. She obediently opened her mouth and ate the red spirit fruit. Seeing her disciple's adorable appearance, Nan Gongmili let out a soft, coquettish laugh. She picked up another red spirit fruit and placed it into Meng Xiaokan's mouth. "Come on, good girl, have one more." As she spoke, her fair fingers touched the disciple's red lips, and only after the small mouth and teeth bit down on the spirit fruit in her hand and the little tongue rolled it into her mouth did she gently withdraw her moist finger. "Mother, did you need me for something?" Seeing Nangong mealy holding another spirit fruit, ready to feed her, Meng Xiaochan immediately asked. "Can't a mother find her good daughter to chat without reason?" The beautiful woman put on a tearful and aggrieved expression, appearing just like a coquettish young girl, pitiful to the point where even steel could turn tender. "Master!" Meng Xiaochan called out exasperated. At first, when she met her master, the nascent soul immortal maintained a sense of authority in front of her. But as they spent more time together, she discovered her master's playful and capricious nature, finding amusement in teasing her along the way. "All right, down to business. As the sect hierarch and the Heavenly Corp sect master's big battle with Li Duanshuan is about to begin, our side should also make some moves." Nangong Meili's gorgeous face showed a dignified expression. "Which family are we contacting this time?" Meng Xiaochan asked. She had come to Jiang country with her master, Nangong Meili, to contact the sleeper agents embedded there by their sect. If the Five Poisons cult leader and Heavenly Corp sect master could repel Jiang country cultivation realms number 1, Shenzhen true monarch Li Duanshuan, then Jin Kingdom would initiate the great battle and invade Jiang country. At that time, those like them who had already infiltrated the Jiang country cultivation realm would gather their sleeper agents and cooperate with the Jin Kingdom's forces both from within and without. "We've almost contacted everyone we need to. Since we're taking action, naturally we have to target Jiuxiao Immortal City, create chaos in Jiang country, and strike at the morale of Jiang country," Nangong Meili said softly, pinching her face. "You mean to act directly against Jiuxiao Immortal City?" Upon hearing this, Meng Xiaokan's eyes widened, her mouth slightly agape. Although Nangong Meili before her was a nascent soul immortal, Jin Kingdom's 3 great demonic sects had also dispatched other nascent soul and false core immortals to Jiang country. But the thought of striking such an immortal city was utterly delusional. After all, Jiuxiao Immortal City also had nascent soul immortals in residence. Moreover, Jiuxiao Immortal City was protected by a 3rd-rank great formation. If a nascent soul immortal skilled in formation were to command it, within the city they would be unrivaled. Unless a nascent soul true lord descended personally. Of course, it's not what you're thinking. You'll know when the time comes. Nangong Meili saw her disciple's expression and guessed her thoughts, pinching her face with a slightly amused air. She then affectionately took Meng Xiaokan's arm and walked out of the cave dwelling. "Weiner, you're here." The moment the two stepped out of the cave, a tall and authoritative man with a hint of ferocity in his eyes brightened up and approached them. He looked at Nangong Meili, his imposing demeanor melting away as the ferociousness in his eyes disappeared, leaving only infatuation. "Did you buy the things I asked for?" Nangong Meili looked at the middle-aged man before her with a cold expression, void of charm, and asked in a cool voice. I have bought everything." The middle-aged man pulled out a storage bag and stepped forward eagerly, his face filled with an appeasing look. Not bad." Nangong Meili took the storage bag, glanced at it, and nodded indifferently. Then, continuing to hold Meng Xiaokan's wrist, she proceeded toward the inner city. "Mother, isn't true Lord Xiang coming with us?" Meng Xiaochan asked her master. But as soon as she spoke, she saw the middle-aged man looking at Nangong Meili with deep infatuation, keeping his distance from them while following closely. Recalling how Nangong Meili had told true Lord Xiang to maintain a certain distance from them, Meng Xiaochan hardly knew what to say. A nascent soul immortal, so humble in the presence of her master. The two made their way from Jiuxiao Mountain to the inner city district. Walking down the bustling streets, Meng Xiaochan felt a premonition and looked ahead to a tall, robust middle-aged man with a heroic countenance. For some reason, upon seeing this middle-aged man, her heart fluttered with an inexplicable familiarity. At this moment, Lu Chongqing also seemed to sense something. He turned his head to look in the right front direction. He immediately saw a black-clad beauty and a white-dressed girl walking hand in hand. The beauty was stunning, her body sinuous in a black gauzy dress. Indeed, her entire being exuded an irresistible alluring charm. Even Lu Chongqing, battle-hardened as he was, found the beauty to be exceedingly lovely and enchanting. Chapter 454. Arriving at Zhouxiao Immortal City. Meeting Meng Xiaochan again under 4 naturally stunning, a peerless charm. However, his gaze first fell upon the white-dressed girl next to the woman in black. The pure and innocent face of this white-dressed girl, along with her ethereal aura, formed a sharp contrast with the voluptuous woman. Her slightly petite figure was also developing nicely, curvy in all the right places. But walking hand in hand with the woman in black, she seemed somewhat slight, not quite as eye-catching. When Lu Chongqing looked towards this girl, for some reason, he felt an inexplicable and familiar sense of wonder. "My dear daughter, what's wrong?" Nan Gongmili observed Meng Xiaochan suddenly pause in her steps and gaze toward somewhere not too distant, then followed her line of sight with a glance before leaning down slightly and asking softly, "It's nothing." Meng Xiaochan immediately snapped back to reality and shook her head. But in her heart she couldn't help but ponder, who was that person? She had great faith in her own intuition. If she felt familiarity, then she must have met this person before. But no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't remember having met such an individual before. However, Nan Gongmili brought her to a courtyard where many were discussing matters, interrupting her train of thought and preventing her from dwelling on it further. Lu Chongqing watched as the woman in black and the girl in white left and was somewhat puzzled. Because having broken through to the Foundation establishment realm, he shouldn't have inexplicable feelings or whims. Could it be the influence of a peach blossom goo? Lu Changsheng's brows furrowed slightly as he queried the peach blossom goo. He wanted to know if the strange and familiar feeling had any connection to the peach blossom goo. After all, aside from the bewildering and mysterious influences of a peach blossom goo, he could think of no other reason. Affection. The peach blossom goo conveyed a thought. It informed Lu Chongqing that this peculiar feeling did not originate from itself, but from another goo. The backlash of the goo in the past. Could it be her? Lu Chongqing, upon receiving the thoughts from the peach blossom goo between his brows, felt somewhat surprised. He immediately realized that the white-dressed girl was Meng Xiaochan, who had once cast a love goo on him that backfired. Who would have thought that after more than 10 years, I would encounter her here? Lu Changsheng's brows lifted, and he let out a light chuckle. No wonder he had felt that inexplicable sense of familiarity just now. As for meeting Meng Xiaochan, he wasn't particularly moved. The battle between the Lu family and the Chen family back then happened to owe much to Meng Xiaochan. Moreover, after the event, Meng Xiaochan had given him 2 Foundation Establishment elixirs and 1 Foundation Establishment spirit object. Thus, in his mind, any debt of gratitude or grievance with Meng Xiaochan was settled. So he harbored no resentment toward Meng Xiaochan. And he didn't dwell on her too much. At most, he wanted to ask Meng Xiaochan about the effects of the goo that he had seized from her. She seemed to glance this way just now, probably due to the love goo, right? But now that I have the misty sky bead masking my aura, I wonder if she can recognize me. Lu Chongqing mused to himself. Meng Xiaochan had disguised herself. If not for the peculiar familiar feeling just now and the hint from the peach blossom goo, he would never guess who she was. Thus, he was curious whether Meng Xiaochan could recognize him upon seeing him. If she did recognize me, would that be considered peach blossom luck? Lu Chongqing stroked his chin, recalling when Meng Xiaochan had departed. She had said she had urgent matters to attend to and couldn't stay by his side, but once those were resolved, she would spend the rest of her life with him. She must have been young then. To have reached the Foundation establishment at such an age suggests that her spiritual root talent is above average. If we were to have children, their spiritual root talent would likely be quite exceptional. Lu Chongqing thought to himself. Although in the cultivation world age is not easily discerned by examining bones, and it's difficult to tell one's true age, not everyone in the cultivation world's lower echelon can afford to take elixirs of youth or practice preserving appearance techniques. Therefore, by one's outward appearance, a general estimate of their age can still be made. He remembered when he first encountered Meng Xiaochan, she was at the late stage of energy refinement, disguised as a young man, and later on, always appeared as a young girl. It suggested that she wasn't too old. Later, her ability to achieve Foundation establishment on her own indicated a rather impressive spiritual root talent. There's no use counting my chickens before they hatch. And the beautiful woman by her side didn't look simple. Could she possibly be her mother? Lu Chongqing shook his head, deciding not to dwell on it any further. When he had encountered Meng Xiaochan in the past, she was always quite resourceful. The first time, she managed to survive under his talisman treasure, the golden light brick. The second time, if not for the peach blossom goo on his side, he might have fallen into her hands. The third time, she had even become a foundation establishment cultivator. Furthermore, she was able to offer him 2 foundation establishment elixirs and a foundation establishment spirit object. Such generosity was not something many foundation establishment families could afford. It revealed to him that Meng Xiaochan was no ordinary individual. Though he's now at foundation establishment, with methods comparable to those with false cores, his main purpose this time was to purchase goods. There was no need to complicate matters by contemplating taking Meng Xiaochan back for the purpose of bearing children. Moreover, as long as the love goo provided a connection, he and she were bound to unite sooner or later. There was no need to rush. Without delay, Lu Chongqing arrived at an inn, booked a room, altered his appearance with the misty sky bead within the room, changed into a blue magical robe, and headed to the largest merchant house in Zhouxiao Immortal City, the Zhouxiao Merchant House. This trip was all about making major purchases. Even with the misty sky bead in use as a disguise, it still paid to be cautious. Besides, his identity as Han Li was known to some from the Qingyun sect and other passengers aboard the spiritual vessel. Welcome to Zhouxiao Merchant House. May I know if the guest is looking to buy or sell? Upon arriving at Zhouxiao Merchant House, a beautiful female cultivator dressed in a uniformed skirt came forward to greet him. Do you have third-rank talisman-making materials? Lu Chongqing asked. Third-rank talisman-making materials? The hosting female cultivator showed a hint of surprise upon hearing Lu Chongqing's words. Chapter 455, Arriving at Zhouxiao Immortal City, meeting Meng Xiaochan again under Defied, the guest jests. Third-rank materials are strategic resources, extremely scarce and seldom sold to the outside. Such as third-rank talisman-making materials, our Commerce Guild currently does not sell them to outsiders. If you, guest, are a second-tier top-level talisman master, and if you are willing to become a guest elder offering services for our Commerce Guild, we would have third-rank talisman-making materials available for you. The receptionist cultivator smiled kindly as she spoke. Not for sale to outsiders. Upon hearing this, Lu Chongqing's heart sank slightly, a sense of disappointment washing over him. Before, he had guessed that Zhouxiao Immortal City wouldn't have too many third-rank materials on offer. But he had absolutely not expected that the Zhouxiao Commerce Guild wouldn't sell third-rank talisman-making materials to outsiders at all. However, Lu Chongqing also understood when he thought about it. Materials of this level are precious and rare. Most are used to cultivate their own talisman masters. How could they possibly sell them to outsiders? Moreover, the great immortal sects also monopolize resources in this manner, forcing artisans of a certain level to choose to join a power. Otherwise, limited by material channels, their skills would scarcely advance. Ordinary loose cultivators, of course, would be happy to join a major power and enjoy the benefits. But his current situation didn't allow the convenience of joining the Zhouxiao Commerce Guild. It seems I can only go through Qingyun sect for this. But even entering Qingyun sect, obtaining third-rank materials will not be simple. Lu Chongqing inwardly sighed. I wonder if your guild may have these materials. He took out the list of materials required for crafting the 99 Mysterious True Strategy and asked. The second-tier auxiliary materials for the 99 Mysterious True Strategy artifact had already been completely purchased through 9 Dragons Market and Qingyun Commerce Guild. He still lacked 4 main third-rank materials. Please wait, guest. The receptionist said immediately upon hearing this. She took out a jade scroll and began to check the various materials listed for Lu Chongqing. Guest, our guild currently has a piece of dark essence steel and blue lapis goldwood. After a while, the female cultivator took out the jade scroll and spoke to Lu Chongqing. Dark essence steel, blue lapis goldwood. Lu Chongqing's face immediately revealed a joyous expression upon hearing this. He thought it's indeed worthy of a big commerce guild from the Immortal City to have 2 pieces of third-rank materials available at once. And this dark essence steel was even one of the most precious materials for crafting the 99 Mysterious True Strategy. He had thought that acquiring dark essence steel would be the most troublesome. May I ask the price of these 2 materials? Lu Chongqing inquired. Dark essence steel, 21,000 spirit stones. Blue lapis goldwood, 13,000 spirit stones. the receptionist announced the prices. Hiss. Even though Lu Chongqing was quite wealthy, he still couldn't help but gasp at these prices. Because they were indeed expensive. At this rate, just purchasing the artifact 99 Mysterious True Strategy alone would cost him 60 to 70,000 spirit stones. This price had already surpassed that of a spiritual artifact. Agreed. Bring me these two materials. Lu Chongqing said aloud. Expensive or not, there was no choice. After all, he had come all the way here. Moreover, with the 99 Mysterious True Strategy artifact in hand, the power and techniques he could wield from the 99 mystical talisman scripture through the talisman refinement formation would greatly increase. So, in Lu Changsheng's view, the expense was still worthwhile. Immediately after, the receptionist invited him to a room, where an advanced-level receptionist conducted the transaction with him. For materials of third rank, which are expensive and rare, ordinary receptionists did not have the authority to withdraw them from inventory. Does your guild accept spirit talismans? After inspecting the two materials and when he was about to pay, Lu Chongqing took out a stack of second-rank talismans and asked. Over the past 3+ months of his visit, he had drawn many second-rank talismans. It was to avoid running short on spirit stones. So now, at the time of payment, he directly took out some talismans to use as a discount off the spirit stones. Second-rank spirit talisman? The advanced receptionist examined the talismans and agreed to purchase them at 60% of the market price. Hearing this, Lu Chongqing used 32nd-rank lower-grade spirit talismans and 10-second-rank middle-grade spirit talismans to discount 10,800 spirit stones. After paying the remaining spirit stones, he left the Jiuxiao Commerce Guild. Then, he inquired about other materials, third-rank talisman-making materials, in the shops of Jiuxiao Immortal City one by one. Jiuxiao Commerce Guild not selling third-rank talisman-making materials to the public didn't mean all shops wouldn't sell them. Furthermore, Lu Chongqing also began to inquire about third-rank spiritual wood, third-rank spiritual blood, and so on. If there were no third-rank talisman-making materials for sale, then he would purchase third-rank spiritual wood and spiritual blood to craft his own talisman paper and spirit ink. After shopping around the Immortal City for 2 days, Lu Chongqing had some gains. He managed to purchase some third-rank talisman-making materials and a few rare alchemy spirit medicines. The materials for the 99 Mysterious True Strategy were only one item short of completion. An auction event? At this point, Lu Chongqing learned some news. In a month and a half, there would be a semi-annual small auction event in Jiuxiao Immortal City. Upon hearing this news, he became interested and thought he might attend to see. One reason was, items he needed might appear at the auction. Another was that after the auction ended, there would be a transaction event, allowing cultivators trade amongst themselves. This kind of direct trading often featured rare items. But before that, I need to earn some spirit stones, Lu Chongqing exhaled lightly. The shopping of the past couple of days had nearly depleted the spirit stones he had with him. So naturally, if he wanted to participate in the auction, he needed to prepare some spirit stones. On this trip, he not only purchased a large quantity of talisman materials but also many alchemy materials. These alchemy materials were sufficient for him to craft harmonizing energy elixir, 3 suns elixir, and a myriad of other second-rank elixir medicines. Thus, Lu Chongqing decided to spend some time trying out the second-rank alchemy skills he had drawn but had never used before, to replenish his storage bag. Chapter 456. The Great Formation of Myriad Corpses and Profound Darkness, Alchemy. _1 Blackwater Pool. Xiaofan family. Boom, boom, boom. The entire Blackwater Pool was enveloped by the Blackwater Profound Wind Formation. Above the formation, gray and black mists converged, resembling a vision of mountains of corpses and seas of blood, with the sounds of ghosts wailing and wolves howling. Around the formation, numerous flying boats blocked off Blackwater Pool such that not even water could escape. Atop these spirit boats, formation patterns twinkled, with a great convergence of spiritual light transforming into thick bolts of lightning that bombarded the Blackwater Profound Wind Formation, causing a tremendous commotion. Not only that, but from all directions, multiple cultivators under the guidance of array masters, executed their techniques and manipulated magic artifacts, attacking the weak points of the formation. 2 months ago, Qing Yun's sect publicly declared the Xiahou family of Blackwater Pool to be aligned with the demon path, calling all forces within its jurisdiction to crusade against the Xiahou clan. In less than a month, all subordinate family forces and marketplace scions affiliated with the Xiahou family encountered strikes, being swept clean. And for the Xiahou clan's main stronghold, Blackwater Pool, Qing Yun's sect even dispatched nascent soul immortals to lead the crusade. However, to everyone's surprise, the Xiahou family's original clan-protecting Blackwater Profound Wind Formation unexpectedly transformed into the third-rank Blackwater Profound Wind Formation. Even with a nascent soul immortal from Qing Yun's sect present, they could not break through the formation for a while. Inside Blackwater Pool. Elder, I'm afraid it won't be long before Qing Yun's sect sets up their formation, uses it to break our formation, affecting the ley lines of our Blackwater Pool, thus breaking through the grand formation, the Xiahou clan leader said to Xiahou Wuwa with concern. He could clearly see that on several surrounding mountains, Qing Yun's sect's array masters were setting up their formations. Rest assured, with the elder ancestor securing the formation, unless Qing Yun's sect brings 2 more nascent soul immortals, they won't be able to easily breach the great formation. Moreover, as long as we drag out the time, once Jin Kingdom makes a move, the Heavenly Corpse sect, 5 Poisons cult, and Yiming Ghost sect will also take action. By then, Qing Yun's sect will be too busy to care about us, Xiahou Wuwa said with an indifferent expression, calming his mental spirit. But in his eyes, a trace of worry was revealed. Because all of this was predicated on the assumption that the sect hierarch of the Heavenly Corpse sect and the 5 Poisons cult leader could repel the Shenzhen true monarch Li Duanshuan. If Jin Kingdom failed in their invasion, their Xiahou family would become a disposable pawn of little significance. Outside the Great Formation, a massive spiritual vessel, a giant ship, loomed in the sky. On the deck of the spiritual vessel, a peerlessly beautiful woman clad in palace attire stood. Her eyebrows were like distant dais, her eyes deep like autumn waters, her nose high, her lips red and luscious, attractive as a fresh bloom. Her raven-black hair was coiled up into a cloud bun, with a phoenix hairpin slanted across it, exuding an aura of nobility and grace. How much longer until the earth-shaking formation is complete? Yun Wansheng stood with her hands behind her back, high above, her gaze filled with an indescribable coldness, as if looking down upon all beings, surveying Blackwater Pool below. Reporting to Kai Yun True Immortal, we estimate it will take 1 more month for the earth-shaking formation to be completed, an array master replied as he flew onto the spiritual vessel. Gazing at the awe-inspiring beauty, astonishment shone in his eyes as he bowed respectfully and spoke. Make it faster, Yun Wansheng commanded coldly upon hearing this. She radiated an intangible majestic aura that shook one's soul. Yes. The array master shuddered upon hearing her command, answering with a reverent tone. Zhouxiao Immortal City. Inside an inn. Alchemy first requires a pill furnace. As a second-tier top-level alchemist, I can't believe I don't even have a pill furnace. Lu Chongqing thought about making a quick profit through alchemy, only to remember that he didn't even own a pill furnace. Alchemy is unlike talisman making, it's very time-consuming. If I use my foundation establishment spirit flame for alchemy, I cannot be distracted and do other things. So the best approach is to rent an alchemy chamber that has an earth fire for alchemy. This way, I can save money on buying a pill furnace and also make talismans while doing alchemy, Lu Chongqing silently concluded and left the inn, preparing to see if there were alchemy chambers for rent in the Immortal City. After all, he was currently short on money, and had many pending expenses that required spirit stones. If he spent 20 or 30,000 spirit stones just to temporarily get a pill furnace, it truly wouldn't be worth it. It was completely reasonable to wait until he had the spare money to purchase a good furnace outright. Furthermore, as a top-tier alchemist, he didn't need to constantly watch over the pill furnace like most alchemists. He could engage in other activities while the alchemy process was underway, and even operate several furnaces simultaneously. If he relied solely on his foundation establishment spirit flame for alchemy, he wouldn't be able to divert much attention to other tasks. That's why he opted to rent an alchemy chamber instead. Otherwise, spending the whole day by the furnace was too much of a waste of time. He might as well earn money making talismans. May I know if your esteemed establishment has second-rank pill furnaces and alchemy chambers for rent? After inquiring around briefly, Lu Chongqing approached an alchemy workshop and asked, "Second-rank pill furnace and alchemy chamber? What we currently open to the public are merely near second-rank alchemy chambers," the attendant of the workshop replied, shaking her head. "We don't have a second-rank chamber for rent, and pill furnaces are not available for rent externally. If you are a second-rank alchemist and willing to become our guest elder, we are prepared to provide a pill furnace and a second-rank alchemy chamber for your use. Lu Chongqing asked 5 or 6 different alchemy workshops and stores. All indicated that they didn't have second-rank chambers for rent. Even in Jiuxiao Immortal City, second-rank alchemists held a status. Such alchemists did not have the need to rent a second-rank alchemy chamber, as they possessed their own alchemy chambers. Chapter 457. The Great Formation of Myriad Corpses and Profound Darkness, Alchemy. And these alchemy workshops and alchemy stores mostly provide second-rank alchemy chambers for their own alchemists, and do not lend them out to outsiders. Do I really have to buy a pill furnace and make elixirs at home? In that case, I'd be better off making money through talisman making. After walking out of an alchemy workshop, Lu Chongqing shook his head slightly. He had originally thought that with the high profits from alchemy, he would easily make a fortune. However, he didn't expect to be stumped by such a trivial issue. Forget it, this is the last place. If it doesn't work out, I'll put alchemy aside for the time being. When I return, I'll see about setting up an alchemy workshop in the Hongye marketplace, hiring a couple of fire-stoking boys and alchemy apprentices. Lu Chongqing gazed at the alchemy pavilion ahead, musing to himself. He then stepped forward and walked in. Inside the store, there was only one girl around 15 or 16 years of age. The girl was dressed in a goose-yellow gown, with a Cherdair hairstyle, eyes like pools of water, a cute nose, and rosy lips. Propping her fair little hand against her cheek in boredom, her small feet in delicate embroidered shoes swung under the goose-yellow gown. Upon seeing Lu Chongqing, she immediately perked up and inquired, "Welcome, may I ask what kind of elixir medicines the customer wishes to purchase? I'd like to ask if you have a second-rank pill furnace and alchemy chamber for rent?" Lu Chongqing asked, looking at the girl. "A second-rank pill furnace and alchemy chamber, that's not something we offer to the public." The girl shook her head subconsciously in refusal upon hearing this. Every alchemist dislikes others entering their own alchemy chamber or using their pill furnace. Moreover, lending it out to the public is dangerous, as mishaps such as explosions in the furnace could occur. But as soon as she spoke, she looked at Lu Chongqing and asked, "May I know if the customer is a second-rank alchemist?" "If you are a second-rank alchemist, our store does have a second-rank pill furnace and alchemy chamber available." The girl gazed at Lu Chongqing with bright, hopeful eyes. "I'm a second-rank alchemist, but am not currently interested in serving as a guest elder and being an alchemist exclusive to a store," Lu Chongqing said with a smile, shaking his head. A couple of the stores he had visited earlier were also willing to provide a second-rank pill furnace and alchemy chamber. But the condition was signing a spiritual contract to become a guest elder or an alchemist exclusive to the store. Although he possessed the Misty Sky bead, which could deceive a spiritual contract, the basic ethics in his heart prevented him from doing such a thing. "Is that so?" The girl fell into thought, biting her finger upon hearing that. "Since it's not available for public rental, then I won't disturb you anymore." Lu Chongqing didn't mind, slightly bowing his hands towards the young girl. "Senior, please wait. Our store's pill furnace and alchemy chamber are currently unused, and we can rent them to the senior. But the price is 50 spirit stones per day, with a minimum rental period of 10 days, and the spirit stones consumed by the earth fire array need to be provided by you, the senior," the girl in the yellow gown called out as Lu Chongqing started to leave. "Oh." Lu Chongqing paused in his steps, nodded to the girl and replied, "No problem." 50 spirit stones a day was not expensive. After all, buying a second-rank pill furnace would cost at least 10,000 spirit stones. And a top-grade second-rank pill furnace, twice as expensive as a talisman brush, would cost 30 to 40,000 spirit stones. That was also the reason Lu Chongqing was hesitant to buy a pill furnace for himself at the moment. "Let's start with 10 days then, and if I need to continue later, I can top up, can I?" Lu Chongqing took out 500 spirit stones and spoke to the girl. No problem, senior, please follow me," the girl nodded vigorously, a smile spreading across her face as she accepted the spirit stones. She then led Lu Chongqing to the backyard of the store, in front of a house built of black bricks. Lu Chongqing touched the black wall, feeling its chill. He knew it was made of bunka stone. This type of brick withstands high temperatures very well. Most alchemy and artifact refinement rooms are constructed of this material. Otherwise, The mere heat from earth fire alone would melt most materials. Senior, this is our alchemy chamber. The fire is very stable, enough to produce most types of elixir medicines, said the girl as she took out a token and unlocked the chamber's restraint. The interior wasn't large, only 40 to 50 square meters, clean and simple. On each of the 4 walls hung a gourd the size of a fist. In the center of the room lay a flat circular stone platform about a meter wide made from bunka stone, only half a foot tall. Around the outer edge of the round platform were inlaid 8 small, fiery red dragon heads, lively and vivid. Their mouths were slightly raised, pointing directly at the space above the center of the platform, poised as if to spout fire. How is this used? Lu Chongqing looked at the alchemy chamber, knowing that the round platform was the mouth of earth fire, and asked aloud. The senior doesn't know? The girl tilted her small head, looking somewhat surprised. In Zhouxiao Immortal City, anyone wishing to open an alchemy or artifact refining shop that requires access to earth fire must apply through the city administration. Thus, the alchemy chambers in Zhouxiao Immortal City are mostly similar. It's my first time in Zhouxiao Immortal City, Lu Chongqing explained. So that's how it is, the girl said, understandingly. Then she comprehended why Lu Chongqing needed to rent the alchemy chamber. She immediately stepped forward adorably and pointed at the round platform, explaining, "This is the earth fire mouth of the alchemy chamber. The earth fire needed for alchemy is spouted from these 8 dragon heads. Senior, here you can adjust the size and height of the flames. For the specific method of operation, the senior can check this jade slip," said the girl as she finished her brief introduction, handing Lu Chongqing a jade slip. Good. Lu Chongqing took the jade slip and quickly glanced over it. It contained a basic introduction on how to operate and use the earth fire array. He looked at the girl and asked, "Where is the alchemy furnace?" Chapter 458. The Great Formation of Myriad Corpses and Profound Darkness, Alchemy. The alchemy furnace has been put away upstairs. Please wait a moment, senior. I'll go get it. Upon hearing this, the girl slapped her forehead and immediately responded. She then hastened out of the room, taking quick steps with her small legs. It seems that this shop must seriously mismanaged, Lu Chongqing said as he watched the girl, shaking his head slightly. Only the girl was in the shop. Considering her bored demeanor a moment ago and the display case in the shop with mostly first-grade elixir medicines, he roughly judged that the current situation of the shop was not very good. The few alchemy shops he had just visited, no matter how poor, all had 1 or 2 reception apprentices. Moreover, looking at the clean state of the alchemy chamber and the pill furnace being put away, it meant there probably was no alchemist present either. Senior, the alchemy furnace. The girl returned to the room in a short while, taking out a half-man-tall, reddish-bronze cloud-patterned alchemy furnace from her storage bag. Thank you very much, Lu Chongqing said as he looked at the pill furnace in front of him, mana flowing within his body, immediately causing the furnace to steadily land atop the 8 fire-breathing dragon heads. Oh, senior, inside these gourds is Mars sand, which can temporarily strengthen the power of the earth fire. If you find the temperature of the earth fire insufficient and need a greater blaze to increase its power, feel free to add Mars sand. This is complimentary, the girl said, pointing to the gourds on the wall. Thank you very much, Lu Chongqing nodded and said with a smile. All right, senior, please proceed with your alchemy. I won't disturb you any further. I'll be in the front shop all the time, just call me if you need anything. By the way, my name is Li Xingyu, the girl in the yellow skirt voiced. Haha, thank you for your trouble, Miss Li, Lu Chongqing replied, nodding. After speaking, he added, my name is Yi Fan. All right, Senior Yi. Upon hearing this name, the girl's eyes instantly curved into crescents, beaming with a smile. She knew that since the other party was willing to share his name, it meant that their relationship had also become closer. This Senior Yi seems easy to talk to. I wonder if my sister can recruit him as a resident alchemist. If we haven't managed to invite a resident alchemist, I wonder if I could ask Senior Yi for this favor, thought the girl as she left the alchemy chamber. Huff. After the girl left, Lu Chongqing closed the door to the alchemy chamber and began to prepare for alchemy. He first embedded 3 middle-grade spirit stones into the earth fire array. Then, following the spell from the jade slip, he cast 8 streaks of red light upon the dragon heads. The dragon heads immediately absorbed the red light, then spouted streaks of purple flames from their maws. The alchemy chamber was filled with a surge of intense heat. Let's start with a furnace of harmonizing energy elixir to warm up the hands. Lu Chongqing prepared to first refine a furnace of harmonizing energy elixir, which aids those at the foundation establishment cultivation. Rise! He looked at the pill furnace and with a hand gesture, cast a ray of spiritual light. Behold, the lid of the furnace flew up, and a stream of spiritual water rushed into the pill furnace, cleaning it thoroughly. Then, with a slap to his storage bag, multiple spiritual medicines flew one by one into the pill furnace for refinement. Blue moon grass, citrus ghost flower, bamboo cloud juice. Although it was his first time performing alchemy, Lu Chongqing was not the slightest bit nervous, exuding a quiet calm. With his second-rank alchemy skills, a common second-grade elixir like the harmonizing energy elixir was something he could handle with ease. Just like that, Lu Chongqing placed all the required spiritual medicines into the pill furnace, then replaced the lid perfectly. This step was executed flawlessly, without a single mistake. Watching the flames slowly burning and refining the spiritual medicines, Lu Chongqing casually took out a talisman brush, talisman paper, and spirit ink and began drawing. Taking advantage of the free time during alchemy, he started crafting a few spirit talismans. If anyone were to witness this scene, they would likely be too astonished to speak. Chapter 459. The Pitiable Pair of Sisters under Sir Wan Zhengzhou, Dongning City. Lu Pingon, it was really nice meeting you. Don't worry, once I become a disciple of the Heavenly Sword Sect and a great sword immortal, I'll bring you along for cultivation. A girl in black stood on tiptoe, patted the shoulder of the boy who was a head taller than her, and said goodbye to him. If that's the case, then I wish Miss Qin a safe journey. Upon hearing this, Lu Pingon cracked a smile. Then he took out a stack of talisman elixirs and 3 porcelain bottles from his chest and said, Right, the road is long and arduous, these are for you. For me. The girl looked at the talisman elixirs and porcelain bottles in the boy's hands, her little face frozen in surprise. She knew he had many spirit talismans and elixir medicines at his side, but she didn't expect him to give them all to her at this moment. Qin Yi sized up Lu Pingon and said, Lu Pingon, did you get your head caught in a door when you were little? Not really, but when I was little, I chased after Xiao He every day and often got flung around by its tail, Lu Pingon said, scratching his head. The girl in black knew that Xiao He was a big wolf dog raised in Lu Pingan's family. She raised an eyebrow, her small face wrinkled slightly, crossed her arms, and turned slightly to the side, squinting at Lu Pingon. Lu Pingon, do you like me or something? Lu Pingon was stunned upon hearing this, as if turned into stone. Hee hee. The usually expressionless cold-faced girl, much like Lu Pingon, cracked a smile, her eyebrows lifting. She then gave Lu Pingon a thumbs up, complimenting, not bad taste. However, I, Qin Yi, plan to be a peerless sword immortal in the future, so the man I, Qin Yi, like must be the most formidable sword immortal in the world. Lu Pingon, I can only let you down, sorry about that, she said, chin up and chest out. Miss Qin, you've misunderstood. I don't have feelings for you. It's just that going to the Heavenly Sword Sect is perilous and far. Lu Pingon waved his hands hurriedly, trying to explain. The girl raised an eyebrow, looking into Lu Pingan's eyes, leaning in slightly and holding out her arm with thumb and forefinger almost touching, she asked. Not even a little bit of liking? None. Miss Qin, please be assured, I absolutely don't have feelings for you. Lu Pingon leaned slightly back, his denial coming firm and decisive. The girl withdrew her hand, heaving a deep sigh as she looked at Lu Pingon. She shook her head. Lu Pingon, oh Lu Pingon, you're such a simpleton. If you ever get married, you'd be the kind of husband that would drive someone to want to smack you dead. How could that be? I'm not stupid. If I really got a wife, that would be a different story. I definitely wouldn't let her be wronged, Lu Pingon earnestly replied. Not stupid, Qin Yi said with disbelief, her face full of irony. After a year together, she thought Lu Pingon was just like a foolish son of a landlord. If she hadn't met him, he probably would have been cheated into working in mines. Miss Qin, just take them. I promised my dad and mom I'd be out for at most 3 years. It's been 2 years since I left, and I should be heading home. I won't need these things. Lu Pingon passed the talisman elixirs to Qin Yi. After speaking, he said with a smile, Consider it an early investment in you, the future great sword immortal. All right, since that's the case, I'll accept it, Qini said after hearing this, pursing her lips. Be careful on the road. If you can't beat them, run, and don't get into fights with others. Lu Pingon said with a smile as he watched the girl accept his items. Lu Pingon, what kind of talk is that? The person in front of you is me, Qin, the future great sword immortal, remember that, the girl said, looking up and staring at Lu Pingon. I get it, that's why you should be more careful. If you die before you even reach the heavenly sword sect and become a great sword immortal, that would be a real pity. I'm still waiting for you to become a great sword immortal so I can bask in your glory, Lu Pingon said with a laugh. He, influenced by his father Lu Chongqing, also enjoyed smiling a lot. However, his smile gave others a feeling of honesty and straightforwardness. Lu Pingon, you really act like a nagging old lady. You're just like a woman, the girl in black said irritably. Hee hee. Lu Pingon didn't argue, just smiled. Lu Pingon, what are your plans for the future? Qini asked. My mother has always hoped that I would settle down early. If my dad hadn't agreed, she wouldn't have let me travel. Now that I'm returning, I should listen to my mom, get married, have children, and take care of family matters, Lu Pingon said after some thought. Yet as he spoke, his face revealed a tinge of wistfulness. He had always yearned for the path of cultivation. Especially this year, traveling the secular cultivation world with Qin, experiencing many things he had never seen before, made him yearn even more for this fascinating world. But without a spiritual root, he was destined to be unable to cultivate and could only remain a mortal. Moreover, as the eldest son in his family, he had to set a good example and not disappoint his parents. Both his parents hoped he would marry and establish himself soon. So after being away for so long, it was time to return home and follow their plans. The girl in black listened to this and fell silent for a moment. She naturally knew the divide between immortals and mortals. Without a spiritual root, one couldn't embark on the path of cultivation. As for her earlier words about taking Lu Pingon to cultivate once she became a great sword immortal, she couldn't bring herself to say it now. After all, she was just a cultivator who had recently broken through to the 4th level energy refinement. Well, take care, Lu Pingon said with a smile after seeing Qini's expression. I'm off until we meet again. The girl looked up at the earnest and handsome young man before her and said aloud, until we meet again. Chapter 460. The pitiable pair of sisters. Lu Pingon spoke softly. Just like that, Lu Pingon watched as Qini left. Qini didn't look back. She knew Lu Pingon was watching her. But she dared not turn around and just walked away briskly. With the separation, both of them felt a void in their hearts. Zhou Immortal City. Treasure Elixir Pavilion. Inside the alchemy chamber. Hoo. 8 miniature dragon heads were spewing out purple flames, refining all the spiritual medicine in the pill furnace into spiritual liquid, filling the room with a faint medicinal fragrance. Lu Chongqing sat by the side, calmly finishing a talisman. Then he lifted his hand, porcelain vases opened one after another. Several drops of spiritual liquid and powder flew into the pill furnace, then he cast a spell. After finishing, Lu Chongqing picked up the talisman brush again and continued crafting talismans. A day and a half later. Condense. Seeing the acupurple medicinal liquid in the pill furnace slowly turning into a deep purple, with spiritual light emerging, Lu Chongqing seized the right moment and cast a spiritual art. The deep purple medicinal liquid continuously thickened, with the color shifting between blue and purple, emitting a rich medicinal scent. This time, Lu Chongqing did not continue talisman making. Instead, he quietly watched the crimson pill furnace, using a fire-controlling technique to manage the intensity of the flames. Open! As soon as the spirit pills in the pill furnace took shape and the spiritual light blossomed, Lu Chongqing shouted clearly, forming hand seals to employ the furnace opening spell. Hum! The lid of the furnace flew off and steam diffused out, with strands of acupurple light swirling around, spreading the medicinal scent in all directions. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, with a wave of heat, mana enveloped 19 elixir medicines, which flew into Lu Chongqing's hands. Not bad, 19 elixirs produced, 13 of fine quality and 6 of exceptional quality. Lu Chongqing said as he inspected the lustrous elixir medicines in his hand and nodded slightly. Elixir medicines varied in quality. They could generally be classified as inferior, standard, fine, and exceptional. Inferior elixir medicines are considered substandard. Although consumable, their effectiveness is poor, and they contain high elixir toxicity. Excessive use can harm the body. Fine and exceptional elixir medicines not only have better efficacy but also contain less elixir toxicity. The elixir medicines sold in the marketplace are mostly standard or fine quality, with exceptional elixirs being quite rare. Yet, for Lu Changsheng's first time refining elixirs, he produced 19, with 13 of fine quality and 6 of exceptional quality, which was truly remarkable. The cost of this batch of elixir medicines is roughly 100 spirit stones, Lu Chongqing mused. 19 elixirs. If calculated like this, the profit is actually about the same as what I get from making second-rank talismans. However, since the elixirs I've refined are either fine or exceptional quality, their price can be quite a bit higher, he added. Lu Chongqing briefly calculated the profit from this batch of elixir medicines. Back then, at the Elixir Cauldron Pavilion of Qingyun Market, he had purchased a bottle of harmonizing energy elixirs, spending 1,200 spirit stones. A bottle contained 10 elixir medicines. That is to say, this batch could sell for over 2,000 spirit stones, almost 20 times the profit. But the harmonizing energy elixirs he purchased were all standard quality. If they were of fine or exceptional quality, the price could be expected to be 2 to 3 times higher, or even more. After all, there are always wealthy individuals willing to spend more for that extra bit of efficacy and a little less elixir toxicity. Of course, harmonizing energy elixir is just the most common type of second-rank elixir. If high-difficulty elixirs like Three Suns elixir or Breakthrough elixir are refined, the profit margin could be considerably higher, he continued. And if it's possible to concoct foundation establishment elixirs or coagulation crystal elixirs, the profits would be even more substantial, he noted. However, the materials for these elixirs are quite rare, and they can't be produced in large quantities. Moreover, one of the reasons alchemists are so sought after is that many cultivators are willing to provide their own materials and pay for elixir concoction services. If the alchemy fails, there's no need to compensate, and if it succeeds, not only do the excess materials go into your pocket, but there's also a generous bonus. That's what makes the alchemists in demand. Having been in the cultivation world for a while now, Lu Chongqing understood the reasons why alchemists hold a slightly higher status than talisman masters. It's because the demand for, and the rarity of, certain elixirs exceeds that of talismans. An alchemist who earns a good reputation will have an endless stream of cultivators seeking his services for pill concoction. There's no need to busy oneself with daily alchemy to earn spirit stones. When I return and reveal my foundation establishment strength, I can also gradually show off my alchemy skills, he planned. After a few years, once I've built a reputation as Master Lu, the dual expert of elixirs and talismans, not only will wealth flow in, but numerous people will also come seeking my services for talisman making and alchemy, he envisioned. And I can recruit loads of talisman apprentices and alchemy apprentices to work for me. Lu Chongqing contemplated in his heart. Chapter 461. The pitiable pair of sisters Li Xingrua dragged her weary body toward her family's shop. Without a second-rank alchemist presiding, not only has business dwindled greatly, but we also can't pass the triennial shop assessment. Dad, Mom, what should I do? Li Xingrua looked at her deserted treasure elixir pavilion and heaved a deep sigh. She was born into a cultivation family. Her father was a foundation establishment cultivator and a second-rank alchemist. Her mother was also a foundation establishment cultivator. Under these circumstances, she could be considered to have been born with a silver spoon in her mouth. Thus, she was like a star cherished by all from a young age. But a year ago, everything changed. Her parents encountered a heretic cultivator during a trip and both perished, leaving behind her and her younger sister. Confronted with such a situation, their family did not offer concern or aid, but even tried to snatch the properties under her parents' names and force her sister into marriage. Luckily, thanks to her parents' connections, the family did not push them too hard. So she abandoned many of the family assets, took her sister, and came to Jiuxiao Immortal City, relying on this treasure elixir pavilion for a living. Originally, after being run by her parents for so many years, The elixir shop had already established a solid customer base and reputation in Zhouxiao Immortal City. As long as they could hire a second-rank alchemist, even if business couldn't return to its former glory, it wouldn't be too bad. But the family outright cast them out as renegades. Not only did they stop supplying spiritual medicine, they also recalled the apprenticeships of the alchemy from their shop to the family, and forbade any other alchemists from collaborating with their shop. As time passed, their treasure elixir pavilion business got worse and worse. Many corporate partners also gradually ceased their cooperation. Half a month ago, she heard that a second-rank alchemist appeared in Baishan workshop. Without stopping to rest, she rushed over, hoping to offer a high price to invite the person to her shop to become the presiding alchemist. Just promoted to second-rank alchemist, he readily agreed to the terms and was ready to sign a spiritual contract. But upon finding out about her situation, he immediately chose to renege, sending her home defeated and disheartened. "Sister, you're back." Inside the shop, Li Xingyu, dressed in a pale yellow gown and with a lovely countenance, saw her sister return and immediately brightened up, her small face beaming with a smile as she called out, "Xingyu." Li Xingrua, looking at her sister's cheerful demeanor, squeezed out a smile on her somewhat weary face. A year ago, she was just like her sister, carefree, happily helping their parents manage the business every day. But since the death of their parents, a series of incidents taught her the coldness of the secular world. "Sister, how did it go with the alchemist from Baishan workshop? Is he willing to come to our place and be our presiding alchemist?" Seeing her sister's fatigue, Li Xingyu brewed a cup of spiritual tea for her and spoke up. "He's not willing." Li Xingrua picked up the spiritual tea, took a sip, and gently shook her head. "It's all right, sister. If it really comes down to it, we could sell the treasure elixir pavilion. That way, you wouldn't have to be so busy every day." Li Xingyu pursed her lips, holding her sister's hand in comfort. Despite her young age, she was very sensible. She knew the treasure elixir pavilion was the hard-earned business left to them by their parents, so her sister was reluctant to give up. Yet over the past year, she watched her sister tirelessly toil for the treasure elixir pavilion. Now altogether worn out, there was no time left for cultivation. "Xingyu, am okay?" Li Xingrua responded with a smile. Selling the shop was indeed the best choice. But this shop was not just their parents' hard work, it also held beautiful memories of her and her parents. Once, her father taught her alchemy here, while her mother tutored her in techniques. "By the way, sister, a few days ago a senior Yi came to our shop asking if there was a pill furnace and an alchemy chamber for rent. I thought Senior Yi seemed trustworthy and he is a second-rank alchemist, so I rented them to him. We could talk to him later. Maybe he would be willing to be our shop's presiding alchemist." At this, Li Xingyu spoke up. She had agreed to rent out the alchemy chamber, with a lease period of 10 days, thinking to wait for her sister to come back from her trip. If her sister had not secured a second-rank alchemist, then they would try to convince this Senior Yi to become their shop's presiding alchemist. Senior Yi? A second-rank alchemist? Renting the pill furnace and alchemy chamber? Li Xingrua was immediately startled upon hearing this. It was not a pleasant surprise, but one of alarm. Because upon hearing her younger sister's words, her first thought was of swindlers. A second-rank alchemist, what need would they have to rent an alchemy chamber from someone else? Even if they did need to rent an alchemy chamber, who would need to rent a pill furnace? What kind of second-rank alchemist doesn't own his own pill furnace? Only alchemy apprentices, who can't afford pill furnaces, use cast iron pots to concoct elixir medicines. Which second-rank alchemist needs to rent a pill furnace from someone? Xingyu, where is this alchemist? Still in the alchemy chamber? Li Xingrua immediately stood up and asked anxiously. This pill furnace was one of her father's heirlooms. It was also the most precious item in the shop at the moment. Thus, she normally kept the pill furnace put away, stored in the third-floor depository. She didn't expect her younger sister to actually rent it out to someone else. If this Senior Yi turned out to be a con artist and either blew up the furnace through reckless alchemy, or swapped it with a fake and ran off with their actual pill furnace, the loss would be tremendous. Surely not. I thought Senior Yi was quite amiable. He didn't seem like a swindler. Li Xingyu began to feel nervous after hearing her sister's words. It didn't occur to her that her goodwill might have backfired. She was also aware of the dire situation at home. Her sister had been out trying to recruit a second-rank alchemist. Chapter 462. The pitiable pair of sisters _4. That's why the alchemy chamber was rented out externally to retain Lu Chongqing. Now hearing her elder sister's words, she felt that was indeed the case. Where would a second-rank alchemist not even have a pill furnace of his own? Moreover, this senior Yi seemed quite unfamiliar with her family's earth-fire array and the starfire sand. Immediately, the two sisters quickly went to the backyard. Xingyu, you ask? Li Xingrua, seeing that the person was still in the alchemy chamber, let out a sigh of relief and asked her younger sister to call out. Although she suspected that Lu Chongqing was a fraudster, she had not yet resorted to barging into the alchemy chamber directly. After all, it was only a suspicion. What if Lu Chongqing really was an alchemist? What if he was at a critical moment in his alchemy process? As an alchemist herself, she knew that one should not be disturbed during the process of alchemy. Furthermore, in her heart, she hoped that this senior Yi was truly a second-rank alchemist. Because a second-rank alchemist who had fallen on such hard times that he had no pill furnace indicated that he was in a dire situation. If she could just offer generous terms, maybe she could persuade him to become the resident alchemist at her family's store. Senior Yi. Li Xingyu took out a token and called out into the alchemy chamber. Miss Li, is there something the matter? Lu Chongqing, who was in the midst of alchemy and talisman making, asked without raising his head. Are you available right now? My sister has returned and would like to see you? Li Xingyu bit her lip and spoke out. She felt that Lu Chongqing had a kind temperament and couldn't believe he was a fraudster. Come in. Lu Chongqing, hearing this, guessed that it might be the young girl who had rented the alchemy chamber, and now a family elder had returned and came over to check in person. Giggle. The large stone door of the alchemy chamber slowly opened. A wave of heat spread out from inside the room. The sisters walked into the alchemy chamber. They immediately smelled a strong fragrance of medicine. In the center of the room, the fire in the pill furnace blazed vigorously, with spiritual light flowing around it, clearly in the process of concocting some extraordinary elixir medicines. Lu Chongqing was seated to one side, busily writing something. What? The sisters were stunned at the sight. What is this? The fire was roaring as it refined elixir medicines. Yet here was Lu Chongqing holding a spiritual brush, writing something. It looked as though he was making talismans. Whoever heard of someone doing other tasks while also engaged in alchemy? Ladies, please wait a moment. Lu Chongqing said without raising his head. He could divide his attention while making talismans. But after all, he was crafting a second-rank spirit talisman. He needed to keep an eye on the talisman paper to finish the drawing, unable to do so blindly. A moment later. Lu Chongqing's brush in his hand completed the last stroke on the talisman paper, causing spiritual light to surge on it. A second-rank talisman, made. Fellow Taoist, Miss Li. Only then did Lu Chongqing stand up and raise his head, greeting the two women with a smile. By their appearance and resemblance, he could tell at a glance that the two must be biological sisters. Li Xingyu was around 15 or 16, with clear eyes, a straight nose, an oval face, and a quiet disposition, charming and cute. This woman appeared to be about 20 years old. Her face had a 7 or 8 tenths resemblance to Li Xingyu, with clear, refined features and bright eyes and white teeth. She seemed a bit weary from busyness, showing a trace of fatigue on her face. However, between her brows, there shone a transparent yet firm expression, like crystal. Senior Yi, you are also a talisman master? Li Xingyu, looking at Lu Chongqing, asked incredulously, her face full of disbelief. The surge of spiritual light from the talisman paper confirmed that Lu Chongqing was indeed making a talisman, drawing a spirit talisman just a moment ago. This left them so astonished they were at a loss for words. You see, both alchemy and talisman making are immensely difficult tasks that cannot be influenced or disturbed by external factors. Yet there was Lu Chongqing, clearly in the middle of alchemy in the pill furnace, while also making a talisman on the side. And during the process of talisman making, he was still capable of holding a conversation with them. This was simply astounding and beyond comprehension. He, I know a little, Lu Chongqing replied with a smile. Senior Yi, I am Xingyi's elder sister, Li Xingrua. Just now, Xingyu mentioned that an alchemist had rented the alchemy chamber, so I came over to meet you. I apologize for disturbing Grandmaster Yi. Li Xingrua then spoke up, her voice respectful. She was not like her sister. She was much more precocious. Having learned alchemy from her father since she was young, she was a first-grade, high-quality alchemist. From the scent of the medicine, the fire in the pill furnace, and the medicinal liquid, she could roughly deduce that a second-grade elixir medicine was being concocted inside. This senior Yi was indeed a second-rank alchemist. Not some scammer. This made her almost at a loss for what to say. To be concocting a second-grade elixir medicine while dividing his attention to make a talisman. And the surge of spiritual light when the talisman was completed indicated it was not just any ordinary spirit talisman. This excited her deeply. She realized her younger sister truly had encountered a master. The senior Yi before them was a real expert. If he could become the resident alchemist at their store, their shop could be saved. No problem. I came to Jiuxiao Immortal City and forgot to bring my pill furnace, so I had to find a place to rent both a pill furnace and an alchemy chamber. I owe it to your younger sister for providing me a place to conduct my alchemy, Lu Chongqing said with a smile. He could tell that Li Xingrua was likely quite sharp and capable. Senior Yi, are you planning to settle in Jiuxiao Immortal City? If you're looking for a place to stay, our Treasure Elixir Pavilion is currently lacking a resident alchemist. I wonder if Senior Yi might be interested? As long as Senior Yi is willing to become. Li Xingruo's eyes lit up as she immediately spoke out, her eyes full of hope. Miss Li, I came to Jiuxiao Immortal City to take care of some business and don't have plans to settle here. Chapter 463, The Pitiable Pair of Sisters Under 5. So there really is no way for me to serve as the resident alchemist for your esteemed pavilion? Lu Chongqing shook his head, voicing his refusal. He wasn't averse to the notion of being a shop's resident alchemist. If the shop were located in Red Leaf Valley Market or the markets around Qingzhou Mountain, he wouldn't mind using an alias to serve as a resident alchemist. Not only would that provide an additional income, but it would also create another channel for selling elixir medicines. He could sell all the surplus elixirs that he had produced in the shop. However, his main base was at Qingzhou Mountain. After completing this purchasing trip, he would return and not stay long in Jiuxiao Immortal City. Where does Elder Yi reside? As long as you are willing to become our Treasure Elixir Pavilion resident alchemist, you don't have to come to the shop regularly. Xingrua can visit you to discuss matters. You only need to take the trouble of coming over when there is a need. Li Xingrua was reluctant to give up and continued to speak. Li fellow Taoist, I reside in the Qingyun region, which is truly far from Jiuxiao Immortal City, Lu Chongqing said, shaking his head. From Qingzhou Mountain to Jiuxiao Immortal City, one would have to traverse half of Jiang Country Cultivation Realm. Qingyun region. Upon hearing this, Li Xingrua felt somewhat disheartened. She knew that with such a distance, the journey was indeed long. Even by riding a spirit boat, it would take several months. Biting her lip, she persisted. May I ask when Elder Yi plans to leave? Her family's shop was facing not just a decline in business. There was another problem as well. In Jiuxiao Immortal City, there was a regulation. All pharmacy, talisman, and magic artifact shops in the inner city district must have a second-rank master in residence. Therefore, every 3 years, Jiuxiao Immortal City conducts a shop assessment. The resident talisman master of the shop is required to go to the 100 Arts Hall in the city for assessment and registration. If they did not pass the assessment, the shop's business license would be revoked. Now, there were only 3 months left until the assessment. If she could not secure a second-rank alchemist who hadn't registered in the city to pass the assessment within these 3 months, then her Treasure Elixir Pavilion would no longer be able to operate. About 2 months, Lu Chongqing said after a moment of consideration. He planned to wait until the auction was over and then return home after exchanging the heads of the 2 robber cultivators from Red Leaf Valley. The reason he was not immediately collecting the reward was that Lu Chongqing had learned something. The rewards offered by the Heavenly Sword sect could be exchanged for items of equivalent value. Spirit stones, elixir medicines, magic artifacts, cultivation techniques, and rare treasures were all options. Therefore, he was not in a rush to claim the reward. He intended to wait until his purchases were complete to see which materials he still lacked. Only then would he use the heads of the 2 to select his reward, exchanging for the items he needed. 2 months. Upon hearing this, a pleading look appeared in Li Xingruo's eyes as she said, I wish to request that Elder Yi act as the nominal resident alchemist for our treasure elixir pavilion and participate in the annual assessment. This assessment is in 3 months' time, and it will not take up much of your time, Elder Yi. As long as you are willing, Elder Yi, any conditions you have can be discussed, Li Xingrua said, full of hope as she looked at Lu Chongqing. Her sister Li Xingyu nodded along, looking at Lu Chongqing with hopeful eyes as well. Any conditions can be discussed? Lu Chongqing had not expected that an offer to be a mere shop's resident alchemist could make the two women so determined and agreeable, willing to make such a significant commitment. He looked at the two sisters with a somewhat strange expression. The elder sister, 8th level energy refinement. The younger sister, 4th level energy refinement. At this age, with this cultivation level, it suggested that their spiritual root talents were quite impressive. If he were to marry them and have children, it seemed it would be quite good. However, he, Lu Chongqing, was not so desperate to propose that someone else's young girl becomes his concubine over such a trifle. In Jiuxiao Immortal City, there should be other second-rank alchemists among the surrounding family powers, right? Your pavilion manages to operate a shop here in the inner city district of Jiuxiao Immortal City. It shouldn't be that difficult to hire a second-rank alchemist, should it? Lu Chongqing asked out loud. This store's ability to operate in the inner city district of Jiuxiao Immortal City indicated that it had some strength. Nowadays, not only was the business sluggish, but the shop was also manned by just 2 young girls. It seemed it wasn't merely due to poor management. Therefore, Lu Chongqing speculated that there must be other reasons. Senior, Li Xingrua bit her lip and recounted the reasons. So that's how it is. After listening to Li Xingruo's words, Lu Chongqing sighed softly in his heart. He thought to himself that the two sisters were pitiable. Otherwise, considering the original family situation of the two sisters, they were indeed better off than many others. But such was the cultivation world, full of uncertainties. Senior. Li Xingyia's eyes reddened with memories flooding back as her sister recounted their parents' story, her face filled with sadness and misery. If that's the case, I can help you with the assessment 3 months from now. But how do I know what you've told me is true and that I won't offend the Li family behind you? Lu Chongqing spoke out. He, Lu Chongqing, was a father himself, with a heart full of love, always soft-hearted, and unable to bear seeing such things. If he could help, he was more than willing to lend a hand. As for the Li family behind the two women, he was not afraid. According to what Li Xingrua had just described, the Li family was only a foundation establishment family. After the death of her parents, the family had a total of 4 foundation establishment cultivators. But he could not simply believe whatever he was told. The senior may inquire a bit in the Immortal City. For example, the 100 Dawn Chamber and Heaven Knowledge Tower within the city deal in all kinds of intelligence and news. Senior may purchase information about our Li family and our shop through the 100 Dawn Chamber, and then you'll know if it's true. Li Xingrua said softly. Just recounting the past had made her feel somewhat depressed. All right, how about I give the 2 young ladies a response later tonight? Lu Chongqing glanced at Li Xingrua and nodded. He had also realized that after this procurement trip, there would certainly be a need for future purchases in the Immortal City. If the young women were good, he could maintain this relationship and channel. In the future, through the 2 women, he could purchase and acquire some rare materials in Jiuxiao Immortal City. Then have Xiao Xia ask for the spiritual vessel from Qingyun's sect to bring them back. This way, he could avoid the trouble of running around himself. Thank you, Senior Yi. Thank you, Senior Yi. Upon hearing Lu Chongqing's words, the 2 sisters exchanged a look, their eyes filled with joy. Chapter 464. The Tao Soldier of the Mysterious Corpse. Witness the divine skills of a true person. _1 Blackwater Pool. Boom, boom, boom. Who, one after another, the spirit boats, with cultivators taking turns attacking the Xiaofan family's myriad corpses' profound ghost formation, were causing a tremendous uproar and noise, accompanied by waves of ghastly wails and howls of wolves. However, it was apparent that the Qingyun sect's army's attack had significantly slowed down, nowhere near as ferocious as it had been at the beginning. Reporting to Kai Yun True Immortal, the earth-shaking formation is ready. Just then, an array master came aboard the giant spiritual vessel suspended in the void. He respectfully addressed a breathtakingly beautiful woman robed in colorful palace attire, who exuded a regal and unparalleled elegance. "Break the formation." Yun Wansheng, from her elevated position, gazed down upon all beings, slightly parted her red lips and uttered the words coldly and authoritatively. "Yes." The nearby array master immediately acknowledged, taking out an array plate and manipulating it. Suddenly, the mountain ranges around Blackwater Pool, where the mountain-suppressing formation, mountain-shaking formation, inverted mountain formation, earth-shaking formation, and mudstone formation were set up, all activated at once. Under the direction of each array master, spiritual light surged, array flags fluttered in the wind, and bursts of light shot up into the sky. The light connected to the local Earth's energy and spiritual energy, merging to form the earth-shaking formation. The entire Great Formation displayed a yellowish-brown color, resembling an earth dragon stretching between heaven and earth, its presence astounding. The earth-shaking formation had the power to overturn mountains and lakes and to shake spirit veins. A third-rank Great Formation was hard to break, with no weaknesses, because a formation of this level was already capable of perfectly connecting with the spirit veins, forming a world all its own, thus making it impregnable. But the earth-shaking formation's ability to invert mountains and lakes directly damaged the Great Formation's spirit veins, turning the third-rank Great Formation into a castle in the air that would collapse without being attacked. "Break the formation." Aboard the spiritual vessel, the array master channeled with both hands and shouted aloud. He immediately threw the array plate in his hand, which transformed into a streak of light and flew into the earth dragon's eyes. Roar! The earth dragon seemed to fully awaken, letting out a roar and charging towards the bottom of Blackwater Pool with a thunderous noise. Boom, boom, boom. In an instant, everyone felt the ground tremble violently, followed by shaking lands and chaotic spiritual energy. The second-tier top-level spirit vein beneath the Blackwater Pool, under the assault of the earth-shaking formation, was immediately damaged, with countless spiritual energies spilling out. A second-grade spirit vein housing a third-rank Great Formation was already straining to maintain operations solely through the countless corpses and treasures of the Xiaofan family. Now, with the spirit vein damaged by the assault of the mountain-shaking formation, its force was greatly diminished and it could no longer sustain itself. Dong, dong, dong. The east wind blew, and the battle drums sounded. Aboard the giant spiritual vessel, 36 cultivators blew the attack horn and beat the war drums. The sound of the horns and drums revived the spirit of every cultivator as if receiving an order, and they collectively bombarded the myriad corpses' profound ghost formation around Blackwater Pool. Boom, boom, boom. The overwhelming offensive fell upon the myriad corpses' profound ghost formation, causing the formation to instantly reveal cracks and flaws, and the true scene within Blackwater Pool was exposed. No! Ancestor! Inside Blackwater Pool, amidst the shaking earth and gusty spiritual energy, buildings collapsed, and many of the Xiahou clan's people let out cries of pain and wailing. They knew that at this moment, the Xiahou family was finished. Ancestor! Xiahou Wuo's complexion turned unsightly at this moment as he called out to the patriarch of his family. The earth-shaking formation, Qing Yun's sect knew that a great war between two countries was about to start, so they spared no expense to decisively annihilate our Xiahou family with a thunderous approach. Wuwa, when I hold off the people from Qing Yun's sect, you must seize the chance to escape. Remember, after you leave, do not return to the Heavenly Corpse sect. Within the depths of Blackwater Pool, Xiahou Jie, with a rigid face and ashen-gray skin, his eyes a dark red, spoke in an ice-cold voice. Ancestor! Upon hearing these words, Xiahou Wuo's voice was heavy. He had long known of his family ancestor's decision. To attract the attention of Qing Yun's sect, the family brought the elite members away from the Qing Yun region, escaping from Jiang country. If they couldn't hold out until Jin Kingdom invaded, he was to escape at the first opportunity. Now that our Xiahou family's core descendants have been sent away, as long as you live, there is hope for the Xiahou family. Never forget the family feud and blood hatred. Xiahou Jie's voice was cold, devoid of emotion. Ancestor, Wuwa dares not forget. Xiahou Wuwa looked at his family ancestor, suddenly knelt down, his forehead touching the ground in reverence, bowing deeply 3 times, his expression solemn, eyes slightly red. Qing Yun sect. Xiahou Jie suddenly looked up towards the Qing Yun sect members on the Great Formation outside, his gaze fixed on Yun Wansheng above on the spiritual vessel. His dark red eyes gradually turned bloodshot, deep and somber like blood. The ashen-gray skin took on the color of blackened iron, with threads of mysterious and malevolent deathly energy spreading around. Boom! 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 Aboard the giant spiritual vessel, the big cannons, primed and ready, fired at this moment. Columns of thunderous lightning, a dozen feet wide and capable of obliterating heaven and earth, bombarded the wavering great formation. The entire heavens filled with gray and black energy, mountains of corpses and seas of blood, wails of ghosts and howls of wolves, all were turned to ash in an instant, vanishing without a trace. The Xiahou family's myriad corpses' mysterious ghost great formation was completely shattered in this moment. Inside Blackwater Pool, the Xiahou family's mountain fortress was revealed. Within it, the city walls, houses, buildings, and spirit veins were already in ruins, a scene of utter devastation. Nearly all the common folk of the Xiahou family perished under the earth-shaking formation, crushed beneath the buildings without even a chance to wail. Only some cultivators, in the midst of the shaking earth and collapsing formation, somehow remained alive. The formation has broken. Exterminate the Xiahou clan. Aboard the giant spiritual vessel, Yun Wansheng, with a noble and icy demeanor, her brows exuding dominance and authority, commanded sternly. Suddenly, a golden magical sword appeared in her hand, and as she stepped forward, she stood suspended in the void, her presence like a rainbow, suppressing heaven and earth. Kill! 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 One after another, the spiritual vessels and each Foundation establishment ancestor, upon receiving the order, led their disciples to slaughter their way into Blackwater Pool. Chapter 465. The Tao Soldier of the Mysterious Corpse. Witness the divine skills of a true person. Now is the final time for harvest. My sons, follow this old ancestor into battle. In Blackwater Pool, Xiahou Jie looked up to the sky and let out a howl, his voice roaring like a wild beast, a lone wolf howling at the moon, captivating the soul. Bang, bang, bang. In an instant, endless gloom and the stench of corpses spread and surged. One could see from the territory of the Blackwater Pool clan, countless dark coffins flying out, covering the sky, easily 1,000 in number. Numerous zombies broke out of their coffins, howled to the sky with blood-red eyes, and charged towards the people. Kaiyun True Immortal, I, Xiahou Jie, today bring my Xiahou family's sons and Tao soldiers of the mystical zombies to experience the might of your divine skills. Xiahou Jie stood on a bronze coffin and soared into the sky. His skin was dark as ink, his eyes blood-red, and the aura of dark evil around him nearly materialized, like a fiendish deity, malevolent and fierce. Zhouxiao Immortal City. Treasure Elixir Pavilion. Alchemy Chamber. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 8 miniature dragon heads breathed out purple flames, making the spiritual mechanism of the pill furnace pervasive and filling the air with the fragrance of medicine. Elder Yi, your elixir is about to be ready. Li Xingrua looked at the pill furnace before her, where the spiritual mechanism was in full flow, and spoke up to remind him. There's no rush. This batch of elixir medicines is second-rank spirit-nourishing pills. In order to enhance their effectiveness, I added some red lotus powder, not only to lock in the efficacy but also to improve the quality of the pills during coagulation, though it requires a bit more time to refine. Lu Chongxing, who was drawing a talisman nearby, didn't lift his head as he spoke gently. Previously, when the Li sisters invited him to be the resident alchemist of Treasure Elixir Pavilion, he said he would consider it. After purchasing information about the Li family and the Treasure Elixir Pavilion from the 100 Dawn Chamber and confirming that the sisters were telling the truth, Lu Chongxing accepted the role of resident alchemist and took on the shop assessment. As for the price, the sisters had to pay him a compensation of 3,000 spirit stones. Moreover, during this period, they would sell the elixir medicines and talismans for him and procure all kinds of materials he needed. Faced with this demand, the sisters agreed without hesitation. So for more than a month, Lu Chongxing was practically always at the Treasure Elixir Pavilion, refining pills and making talismans. Excess elixir medicines and talismans were all sold by the two sisters on his behalf, causing the spirit stones in his storage bag to swell. Chapter 466. The Tao Soldier of the Mysterious Corpse. Witness the divine skills of a true person. After several days of continuous alchemy and talisman making, he felt tired in both body and mind. Senior Yi, all the harmonizing energy elixirs you made before are sold out. Some people even came asking when new stock would arrive, saying that the elixirs you made have excellent effects. Li Xingyu in the store's lobby excitedly said upon seeing Lu Chongqing. Ever since Lu Chongqing arrived, their family's elixir shop had been doing much better, making her very happy collecting spirit stones every day. Even though these spirit stones weren't hers. But every time, Lu Chongqing would give her dozens of spirit stones as a reward. Hee, I'll make more when I have some free time, Lu Chongqing said with a chuckle. You are the resident alchemist of Treasure Elixir Pavilion. I wonder if Master Yi can refine a premium true essence elixir? A customer in the shop politely said after hearing this and glanced towards Lu Chongqing. If the friend here pays a deposit, Yi can refine a furnace, and you may collect it in a fortnight, Lu Chongqing replied upon hearing this. The true essence elixir is an elixir taken during the middle and later stages of foundation establishment, to improve one's cultivation level. If the other party wanted it, he was willing to refine a few bottles to sell. After all, he would need them in the future as well. May I ask the price? The customer inquired. 30% above market rate, 2,300 spirit stones, Lu Chongqing responded. In that case, ill trouble Master Yi. Upon hearing this, the customer thought for a moment, then took out 1,200 spirit stones as a deposit and then took his leave. Wow! Li Xingyu couldn't help but exclaim when she saw this scene. The fact that someone was willing to place a deposit and pre-order elixirs just because they bought a bottle of harmonizing energy elixir before made her marvel. In her heart, she thought if Lu Chongqing could permanently reside in the shop, then their treasure elixir pavilion could prosper like never before. Xiaoyu, if the second-rank elixirs in the shop are sold out, you can place the talismans in a more conspicuous spot, that will help sell them better, Lu Chongqing, looking at the spirit talismans beside him, said to Li Xingyu. The treasure elixir pavilion was, after all, an elixir shop. The elixirs he put on sale in the shop basically sold out very quickly. Talismans, on the other hand, were comparatively slower to sell. But that didn't really matter. If he had to sell them back to other shops, he could only buy them back at 50 to 60% of the value. At the Treasure Elixir Pavilion, they sold for the market rate. Plus, the quality of the elixirs and talismans was high, so he could charge a little more. The reporter bowed and complied. Chapter 467. Special Monster Core. Minor Forbidden Formation. _1 The next day. Lu Chongqing went out and headed towards the Jiuxiao Mountain auction venue. Today was the biannual auction day in Jiuxiao Immortal City. But for Jiuxiao Immortal City, such a small auction was just a minor event. It was a sale of some rarely seen exquisite items. As far as Lu Chongqing knew, the real bustling auctions in the city occurred once every 3 years and once every 10 years. Items like Foundation Establishment Elixir, along with many rarely seen spirit pills and elixirs, cultivation technique inheritances, and heavenly and earthly treasures, could all be found in these big auctions. After arriving at the Jiuxiao Mountain auction venue, Lu Chongqing took out the invitation he had bought early. Esteemed cultivator, you hold a box invitation. Please follow me. A maid with a fair and delicate face and a cheerful smile invited Lu Chongqing to the second floor of the venue. Inside the box, the privacy of the guests is absolutely confidential, and after you win an item, it will be sent directly to the box for the transaction. The maid led the way while introducing the facilities and rules of the auction venue. Lu Chongqing nodded slightly. He had understood these aspects earlier. The box was not only much more comfortable, but it also guaranteed a degree of privacy. As expected of the Immortal City, even a small auction here is busier than the long-anticipated auction in the Red Leaf Valley Market back then. Lu Chongqing settled into his box seat, overlooking the entire auction and observing the packed positions on the first floor. Mostly energy-refining late-stage cultivators. And there were quite a few Foundation Establishment cultivators. Dong! About an hour later, with the loud sound of a gong, a tall woman dressed in red, mature and alluring, stepped onto the stage. Thank you all for your presence. The auction now begins, and I wish all fellow cultivators here can acquire their desired items. The first auction item, a lower-grade spiritual artifact river crossbow, with effects such as attacking enemies, breaking spells, and breaking seals, and it can be activated with spirit stones without consuming mana. The starting bid is 2,000 spirit stones. The woman in red spoke with a soft and sweet voice, holding a small crossbow, introducing it. Her voice resonated clearly in everyone's ears. 2,100 spirit stones. 2,500 spirit stones. Although this was a lower-grade spiritual artifact, being able to appear in the auction meant it was indeed a fine piece. Being able to be activated without consuming one's own mana meant that energy-refining late-stage cultivators could use it. 2,900 spirit stones. Lu Chongqing called out a price. This spiritual artifact was naturally of no use to him, but it was just right for Lu Miaoge, who was at the peak of her energy-refining stage and practiced a water attribute cultivation technique. It would be suitable for self-defense. Moreover, since he was out, he naturally had to bring small gifts back home for his wives and children. After a few bids, Lu Chongqing won it for 3,800 spirit stones. It wasn't too expensive, but it wasn't cheap either. Guest, here is the spiritual artifact you won. Shortly after, a maid came into the box through a hidden passage, carrying a tray. Lu Chongqing picked up the crossbow and played with it briefly. He knew that this spiritual artifact could be easily activated by energy-refining cultivators through the nourishment of middle-grade spirit stones and regular care. If the energy stored inside was depleted, it would be much more difficult to activate. After paying the spirit stones, he put the crossbow away. Ice Heart Elixir can assist in breaking through bottlenecks in ice attribute cultivation technique practices, and has the effects of suppressing heart demons and treating fire attribute injuries. There are a total of 10, with each starting at 500 spirit stones. The coquettish voice of the woman in red continued to permeate the auction venue, ringing in everyone's ears. Lu Chongqing, lounging lazily on the soft chair, casually looked around. Unless it was a third-rank elixir or some rare medicines, he was generally uninterested. This! As Lu Chongqing was idly gazing around, he suddenly saw a cultivator in the corner of the first floor. The cultivator was looking at the woman on stage with burning eyes, engaging in sleazy behavior. Damn! Lu Chongqing cursed under his breath, his face showing the expression of an old man concentrating on his phone. He hadn't expected to see such an outrageous scene at an auction. But this person was also incredibly bold and apparently unafraid of death. After all, the woman on stage was not just for show. She was a foundation establishment cultivator. And this man was only at the energy-refining late stage. Perhaps this is what makes it thrilling for him. Lu Chongqing didn't understand the man's thoughts, shook his head and quickly averted his gaze, looking back at the shapely and voluptuous woman in red on the stage. The auction continued. It must be said, the quality of this auction was indeed good. Mostly it featured rare elixirs, magic artifacts, heavenly and earthly treasures, and young spiritual beasts not often seen. During the proceedings, there were also some cultivation techniques and secret skills of cultivation realms. However, the techniques only reached high-grade cultivation techniques, and the skill inheritances were at most second-tier top level. It seems that cultivation technique inheritances and advanced skills are tightly controlled everywhere, rarely leaking out. Chapter 468. Special Monster Core. Minor Forbidden Formation. Now this piece of third-rank middle-grade spiritual wood, fashioned into talisman skin, used to nurture treasure talismans, could cultivate third-rank middle-grade spirit talismans, and he deemed it absolutely necessary to obtain. 4,500 spirit stones. Inside the first floor of the hall, a foundation establishment cultivator immediately placed a bid. 5,000 spirit stones. 5,100 spirit stones. 5,300 spirit stones. 6,000 spirit stones. Noticing that fewer people were bidding, Lu Chongqing also called out an offer. 6,100 spirit stones. Inside a certain private box, a bid was called out. 6,500 spirit stones. Lu Chongqing continued to bid. 6,600 spirit stones. This voice seemed to be gritting its teeth. Because the price of third-rank middle-grade spiritual wood was around 5,000 to 6,000 spirit stones. However, this piece of spiritual wood bore the attribute of lightning, making it quite rare, and happened to be suitable for him to refine a treasure. 7,000 spirit stones. Lu Chongqing declared, unruffled. Although it was a significant overbid, for him, as long as he could craft it into a talisman, it was all worth it. Once this price was announced, nobody else in the other private boxes placed any further bids. After all, among foundation establishment stage cultivators like Lu Chongqing who were wealthy, there really weren't many. Soon, a maid delivered a length of purple-veined spiritual wood several feet long. The spiritual wood was covered in purple lightning patterns and a faint spiritual light circulated within. Extremely extraordinary. Not bad. Lu Chongqing looked at the piece of purple thunder spirit wood and revealed a faint smile on his face. If the wood was made into third-rank talisman skin, it could be used to draw some third-rank thunder aspect talismans. After paying the spirit stones, he continued to watch the items being introduced on the stage. Second-rank middle-grade formation Wild Wind Fierce Fire Array. Array plate, 108 array flags all intact, simple to manipulate, can unleash wild winds and fierce fires. Even a foundation establishment cultivator would find it very troublesome. Suitable for defending a cave dwelling or trapping demon beasts. Starting bid, 5,000 spirit stones. This formation tool caught Lu Changsheng's attention as quite decent. However, the range of this formation was too small, only 100 feet. Only suitable for guarding a cave dwelling or spiritual field. It could not serve as a family's great formation. So he did not participate in the auction. Nevertheless, this formation tool was auctioned off for a huge sum of 9,000 spirit stones. Next, we will introduce the highlight of today's auction. Half a quarter hour later into the auction on stage, a woman in a red dress held up a deep blue crystal core and began introducing, a second-rank special monster core, can replace a heavenly spirit fruit, to be used as a supplement in the foundation establishment elixir. Starting bid, 8,000 spirit stones. A second-rank special monster core? Upon seeing this monster core, Lu Changsheng's eyebrows raised, showing a bit of interest. The rarity of foundation establishment elixirs was due to the main ingredient heavenly spirit fruit being exceedingly scarce. Besides the purple shadow secret realm, which opened every 30 years, there was no fixed output. The occasional foundation establishment elixirs that flowed out from the three great immortal cities were either because someone stumbled upon the heavenly spirit fruit by chance, or they replaced the heavenly spirit fruit with second-rank special monster core as the main ingredient of the foundation establishment elixir. But such second-rank special monster cores were also incredibly rare. First of all, only some exceptionally rare and powerful second-rank demon beasts possessed monster cores. The second-rank green wolf that Lu Chongqing had killed before simply did not have such a thing as a monster core. Secondly, the monster cores used to concoct foundation establishment elixirs had to contain energy that was neither too mixed nor too violent, and had to be of a gentle and pure attribute. Otherwise, they would collide with the other ingredients of the foundation establishment elixir. For example, monster cores with attributes of metal, fire, lightning, ice, or multiple attributes did not meet the requirements. Therefore, it was extremely difficult for someone to hunt demon beasts and obtain this kind of special monster core. One would have to venture deep into the Myriad Beasts mountain range. However, deep within the Myriad Beasts mountain range, numerous demon beasts lurked. Even third-rank and fourth-rank demon kings were present. Nascent soul immortals entering there would find it a headache, with one misstep potentially leading to their demise. Therefore, ordinary foundation establishment cultivators and nascent soul immortals wouldn't specifically venture deep into the Myriad Beasts mountain range to search for special monster cores. They would mostly rely on luck in the outer areas, or encounter such demon beasts in other mountain ranges and obtain special monster cores. Using a second-rank monster core instead of a heavenly spirit fruit to concoct a foundation establishment elixir requires only minor adjustments to the recipe and alchemy techniques. If I acquire this second-rank special monster core, I could completely gather supplementary ingredients myself and concoct 3 foundation establishment elixirs. Lu Chongqing mused internally, preparing to win this second-rank special monster core. Though he did not need a foundation establishment elixir for himself, nobody would consider a rare item like the foundation establishment elixir to be too plenty. Not only could it be used by his wives, concubines, and children, but it could also be traded for rare treasures of heaven and earth. In the cultivation world, foundation establishment elixirs could be considered top-grade currency. 8,500 spirit stones. A voice immediately made a bid. 8,600 spirit stones. 8,800 spirit stones. Many cultivators present were interested in this second-rank special monster core. Energy refining cultivators wished for this special monster core to hire someone to concoct a foundation establishment elixir for them. Foundation establishment cultivators had junior family members. And before long, the price of this monster core exceeded 10,000. 12,000 spirit stones. At that moment, an aged yet authoritative voice sounded, directly raising the bid by 1,000 spirit stones. Simultaneously, a window in this private box opened, allowing people to see through the window an old man with gray hair, a square face, and a dignified appearance. So it's Master He. It said that Master He is exceptionally skilled in using monster cores to concoct foundation establishment elixirs, capable of ensuring at least 1 elixir per batch, and 2 elixirs with normal performance. If Master He purchases this monster core, there will be foundation establishment elixirs available at the auction in 2.5 years. Greetings to Master He. Many in the crowd turned to look at the private box, recognizing this dignified elder. They knew he was a famous alchemy master from the Wuxia marketplace. Chapter 469. Special Monster Core. Minor Forbidden Formation. Master He truly commands great respect, with many foundation establishment cultivators giving up the competition one after another. Even quite a few people called out greetings, planning to visit Master He after the event, bringing along auxiliary materials in hopes of requesting a foundation establishment elixir. 13,000 spirit stones. But Lu Chongqing didn't care in the slightest, showing no regard for Master He called out his bid. The moment this voice rang out, the other people in the venue turned their gaze towards the private box where Lu Chongqing was seated. 13,500 spirit stones. Master He also looked towards the private box where Lu Chongqing was, snorted coldly, and raised the bid by 500 spirit stones. The price of a foundation establishment elixir is around 20,000 spirit stones. The price of this monster core, plus the auxiliary materials, comes to about 20,000 spirit stones. If it's only used to refine a single foundation establishment elixir, there's hardly any profit to be made. However, for alchemists, many times being able to break even isn't too bad. After all, each alchemy session is also a chance to accumulate experience and improve proficiency. 15,000 spirit stones. Lu Chongqing directly made a substantial increase to the bid. With second-rank alchemy skills at his disposal, he was confident that he could refine 3 foundation establishment elixirs. Even amongst the 3 foundation establishment elixirs, one could be a supreme foundation establishment elixir. Thus, he was determined to win this special monster core. Fellow Taoist, I am He Mao. Seeing Lu Chongqing bidding like this, Master He said coldly. What, can one use their status to oppress others at an auction? Lu Chongqing spoke indifferently. At these words, He Mao's face turned from green to white. He was, after all, a prominent figure in Jiuxiao Immortal City. Even revealing his identity, the price for this monster core was about at its limit. Unexpectedly, Lu Chongqing was giving him no face at all. He gritted his teeth and bid. 16,000 spirit stones. 17,000 spirit stones. Lu Chongqing spoke calmly. 18,000 spirit stones. Master He continued to bid. 20,000 spirit stones. Lu Chongqing spoke out blandly. Facing this situation, Master He stopped bidding. Although he had a 50% chance of refining 2 foundation establishment elixirs, collecting auxiliary materials and the time and effort spent on alchemy wasn't worth a higher bid. Moreover, Lu Chongqing's bids, which showed no regard for Master He's status, made him cautious, not wanting to offend him. Who is this person, actually spending 20,000 spirit stones to buy this special monster core? The price of a foundation establishment elixir is just that. Could this person also be an alchemy master, or perhaps he knows an alchemy master? How is that possible? Where would so many alchemy masters come from? Right, there are only so many renowned alchemy masters in Immortal City. Maybe he just needs this special monster core, like for helping a spirit beast to advance. In the venue, the high price fetched by this monster core stirred up quite a bit of discussion. After all, usually, the price for a special monster core maxes out at 15,000 spirit stones. Shortly after, the second-rank special monster core was delivered. After Lu Chongqing examined it, he stored it away in a jade box. In the cultivation world, many heavenly and earthly treasures must be stored in special treasure boxes. Otherwise, they will leak spiritual energy. After the auction of the second-rank monster core ended, Lu Chongqing lost interest in the subsequent items and did not participate. Besides, having spent more than 30,000 spirit stones at this auction on 3 items and flaunting his wealth, he might attract unwanted attention. Fellow Taoists, the auction has now concluded, and next is the exchange meeting, the free trade segment. Interested Taoists may head to the side hall. The woman in the red dress spoke, declaring the auction over. Hearing this, Lu Chongqing spoke to the auctions maid, expressing his interest in participating in the exchange meeting. This was one of his reasons for attending the auction. Within the cultivation world, many cultivators obtain rare heavenly and earthly treasures and prefer not to sell them for spirit stones. Instead, they engage in bartering to seek the items they need. Upon hearing this, the maid asked Lu Chongqing if he needed to conceal his identity. The venue provided capes and masks. Truly fitting of a mortal city, such thorough arrangements. Lu Chongqing, hearing this, picked up a cape and mask. However, this set of mask and cape required 300 spirit stones. Lu Chongqing made his way to the side hall through a secret passage. Upon entering the hall, he perceived that a certain formation was in place that could affect others' divine senses. Combined with the mask and cape, one's identity could hardly be discerned. However, in the side hall, only about half of the people had chosen to conceal their identities. Many openly revealed their true appearances. Presumably, these individuals either had lived in Jiuxiao Immortal City for a long time or weren't afraid of being targeted. A quarter hour later, when the side hall gathered around 40 to 50 people, the exchange meeting officially began. The way of trading was straightforward. Each person spoke in turn to present the resources they were selling or to specify what they wanted to buy. Foundation Establishment Spiritual Object Earthly Gang Chi to trade for a Gold Attribute Foundation Establishment Spiritual Object, Radiant Primordial Gold Chi preferred, can also add Spirit Stones. An exquisite level Chi cultivation technique to exchange for a Divine Consciousness technique, or can be traded for another technique of the same level of course, if someone offers enough Spirit Stones, I would sell. Transforming Dragon Ginseng. A rare second-rank spiritual medicine that can serve as an auxiliary for Foundation Establishment elixirs, to exchange for a youth-preserving elixir. One after another, people voiced their offerings. This exchange meeting surely has some good items on hand. Lu Chongqing gazed at the people and mused to himself. For instance, that transforming dragon ginseng seemed excellent to him as it is one of the main auxiliary ingredients for a Foundation Establishment elixir. Later, he would ask the other party if they were willing to sell for spirit stones. Just then, a woman in a blue dress spoke up. Near third-rank formation inheritance, an inverted 5 elements formation set for a forbidding magic artifact, or I can set up a second-rank formation for someone, in exchange for cold attribute spiritual medicine, any heavenly or earthly treasures, the more the merrier. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.